This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming, and all those online. I'd like to call to order this Haslet City Council meeting. It's March 2nd, 2026, and all council members are present. If you bow your head with me, we'll offer a short invocation and then stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Almighty Father, for your many blessings. We have all witnessed this weekend the campaign of the United States and Israel against Iran, but also including all their alliances. We know that this will have an effect throughout the world, already has, and will most likely expand. We pray for your protection. We pray for our servicemen and women, both for the United States, Israel, and all their alliances. Pray that we be vigilant and keeping an eye as even our homeland is possibly threatened. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 4 is citizen comments, participation. Do we have any that have signed up for public comment?
Yes, we've received quite a few in person, and we have a few that received emails that to be read aloud.
Very good. Let's start with the in person.
Yes, the first one is Judge Christopher Gregory.
Judge.
Mayor, council members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to y'all. I just wanted to, while I was here today, having the pleasure of swearing in the new city manager, administrator. I wanted to come and give y'all a kind of an update on the court and where we're standing at, being 7 years in office. Several laws have changed. They have moved our jurisdictional limit from 10,000 to 20,000 for this court. Since being in office, especially the last 3 years, through COVID, of course, everything slacked off. The last 3 years, we have been 20% up over case filings each previous year. And this year, we're running 60% up over last year. I have a feeling it's due a little bit to the economy from previous years. It's just now catching up with us. But saying that, we are definitely very busy. And we do now. Previously, we only had half of Haslet. The redistricting's 4 years ago. I believe it was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We have all of Haslet now in Precinct 4, and I believe that's just happened with the commissioners' precincts also. You're also now in Precinct 4 with Commissioner Manny Ramirez. But just wanted to come and kind of give you all a little bit of an update as far as the court. We also do, and there's several cases we handle, and I would kind of like to just give you all a little bit of this. We do a lot of debt claim cases. We do, of course, eviction cases. But we do always try to explain to everybody, think of the JP court as the Judge Judy court. Back the first week in office, I got a signed autograph picture from her because her liaison would come to court and actually would get quite a few cases from my court, he's actually a great guy. But since she's retired, he doesn't quite come as much anymore. So we had Judge Joe Brown come a few times and get a couple of cases, but they got all of their actual cases that you've seen on TV out of courts around the nation. And I got the privilege of seeing several of mine up there. But one of the things that we do is also dangerous dog cases. We do ODL cases, driver's license hearings, handgun license hearings. Once again, evictions, truancy. We're having a big influx of truancy right now. I do for the Eaton and thank you very much. She said it earlier, and I was trying to say it. So in this precinct, we have 13 major cities, including y'all's, and I consider y'all a major city. And we have 6 school districts, and we serve 2 major lakes, 1 minor lake, and we service all of the law enforcement in the area. So we are projected to run between 15 and 18,000 cases this year, which will put us second place for county-wide. The only court right now that's outrunning us is going to be the court in Arlington, which if you look at the density of Arlington, you would see why they're outrunning us, but we are quickly catching up. I'm sure y'all know, but we have a huge influx of people coming in. We have directly right now roughly about 16 multi-unit complexes that are being built, and I can't count how many home divisions that are being built right now just in Precinct 4. So we're definitely going to be growing, but we are here to help and serve your citizens and y'all in any way we can. But thank you once again for giving me the pleasure to come up here and at least give you an update about the court. Any questions for me?
No, sir. Thank you, Judge. Our next speaker, please.
Carol Clark to be read by Kitty Wirtz.
Ms. Clark. Was it Ms. Clark or Ms. Wirtz?
It was Carol Clark to be read by Kitty Wirtz.
Please.
Before I start, thank you. I'm Kitty Wirtz, and I'm at 205 Thistle Drive. I will be talking in just a moment for Miss Carol Clark at 117 Scribner Drive in Haslet, Texas. I wanted to make everyone aware in the room of a very important meeting that's coming up on Thursday, March 12th, 2026. It is the North Tarrant Transportation Information Meeting. It will be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Leo Adams Middle School cafeteria at 1069 Eagle Boulevard, Haslet, Texas. Discussions will be on Spur 170 flyover, the grade separation at Avondale-Haslet at 156, US 287 corridor improvements, the widening of Avondale-Haslet through Fort Worth, and Avondale-Haslet Bridge at 287. So please mark your calendars. Okay, I will now read Ms. Carol Clark's comments. Greetings, City Council members and Mayor. I want to address some comments that were made by the Mayor at the last City Council meeting that was held on February 17th. At the 57.24 mark, the City Secretary started to read summarized portions of some of the citizens' letters. Councilman Gilbert objected, and the Mayor reluctantly agreed to have all letters read. So at the 1.02 mark, the Mayor ordered the lawyer to read all 11 letters since he had a stronger voice. City Council doesn't pay the lawyer to read letters at these council meetings. We okay? This overreach by the Mayor clearly demonstrated his lack of respect for the lawyer, and it was an embarrassment to watch. At the 1.24 mark, the Main Street road closure was discussed. Councilmen Crothers and Watkins tried their darndest to get the Mayor to see the delaying the road closure until Avondale-Haslet Road Bridge was completed was in the best interest of everyone, i.e. as evidenced by letters that were just read. Instead of empathizing with the citizens or City Council, the Mayor chose to spin an elaborate tall tale to get himself out of the hole he had dug. He lied about frequently driving in all of our traffic, and Councilman Crothers called him out on his lie, mentioning that citizens saw the Mayor retreat to his house versus turning out onto 156 in it. The Mayor then lied about being notified Tarrant and Fort Worth prior to starting this project. per Councilman Crothers and Watkins, Councilman Blaylock, and Commissioner Rodriguez were never contacted. While Councilman Horick was mentioning his particular traffic backup situation on Westport, the mayor flippantly stated that the traffic congestion our Haslet roadways have is transit or cross-through traffic. Comments like this is just further proof that the mayor is delusional and out of touch with reality and has no regard for citizens of Haslet or adjoining communities. At the 1.47.33 mark, the mayor said that TxDOT killed the shorter bridge designed to go over the railroad tracks at Avondale-Haslet Road. That is a dead issue. Councilman Crothers factually stated that the design only needed pillars moved out of the railroad's right-of-way and that the mayor halted this design while he secretly worked his unsanctioned longer bridge design. In spite of these facts being presented, the mayor took the opportunity to spin another one of his elaborate tall tales. He refused to accept the fact that everyone knows that he put the shorter bridge design on hold. And doesn't take a genius to realize that if the pillars can be moved out of the railroad's right-of-way for the longer bridge design, then they can be moved out of the shorter bridge design as well. In essence, they are the same design. One is just a little longer in overall length, but all of this is now a moot point since, thankfully, the mayor did not get the grant funding for his fantasy legacy bridge, and he'll have to face reality and take the shorter bridge design off hold. At the 54.02 mark, the mayor lied and said the city council approved a 6-lane road for 156, in spite of the city council constantly stating at previous city council meetings that they only supported a 4-lane road with turn lanes for 156. For some unfathomable reason, it's easier for the mayor to spread his ridiculous lies instead of just harnessing the truth and producing a united front. But then again, the mayor's intentions always seem to be to discount the city council's credibility. At the 3.34.4A mark, Council Gilbert introduced Mr. Joseph Ashton as the new city administrator. The mayor, of course, had to pressure the council to state what the city administrator's starting salary would be in hopes of getting a gasp from or an upset from the audience. His plans backfired, as most everyone in the audience was thrilled to have the city administrator on board. Furthermore, the only money the citizens of Haslet care about in this ludicrous item is the $25,000 stipend the mayor is receiving and is wasteful and unauthorized spending of our tax dollars, i.e. his private owner vehicle mileage to and from the mayor's home and work and home again for lunch, and the mayor's dry cleaning and eating out lunch, and the removal and replacement of the Blue Mountain speed humps, the hiring of a personal legislative communications assistant, grant bridge design, grant application fee, meeting prep slides, brainstorming with contractors, Blue Mountain turn lanes design, etc., 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 which far exceeds the city administrator's salary. Mr. Ashton started work at the city as the Haslet city administrator on February 17th. Unfortunately, he wasn't warmly greeted by the mayor, who has been spending his days touting that Mr. Ashton's employment is illegal and that he is not an employee of the city of Haslet. The mayor conveniently forgets that Mr. James Quinn was the Haslet administrator when the mayor took office in 2021. Haslet was a Type A general law form of government in 2021 and still is today. The duties and responsibility of the city administrators are delineated in the city ordinance today, just like they were in 2021. No one has said that Mr. Ashton is a city manager, which would be illegal without first changing the form of government. Yet the mayor wants to conveniently try to spread these malicious lies. His behavior toward the city administrator is demeaning, childish, unbecoming of an elected official. I'm sure the mayor's petty, toxic behavior is the talk of the town, and it's probably even extended out to surrounding cities to other elected officials. How embarrassing. It's hard to believe that our city mayor could stoop so low, but he truly has through his unwillingness to work with others and his constant spewing of misinformation and lies. Perhaps the mayor doesn't believe he's lying or misinforming at all. Then the only possible conclusion to draw is that he's suffering from diminished capacity. Regardless, Mayor, whether it's lies, misinformation, or diminished capacity, your behavior is reprehensible. It's an embarrassment to watch an elected official like you constantly behave in such a childish, vindictive, and unprofessional manner. And I'm sure that's not just the citizens of Haslet who you have been subjecting this tyrannical, obnoxious torment. So again, I tell you, Mayor Halsey, step down, resign now, while you may still have a modicum of saving grace left. Thank you, City Council members, for all that you do for us citizens of Haslet. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you for your comments, and please pass on our thanks to Ms. Clark. Our next speaker, please.
Is Miss Kitty Wirtz.
Okay, Kitty Wirtz, 205 Thistle Drive. Hello, City Council and Mayor Halsey. I would like to let the public become aware of the costs associated with the Big Bridge Grant Project our mayor initiated without City Council approval, in secret from all others. Through open records request, I was able to pull the invoices for this work. The invoices totaled over $55,000. All of this money is out the door and lost, as Haslet was not selected to receive the grant. What we cannot put a cost value or price on is the lost opportunity cost of every citizen's commute time in Haslet and the surrounding areas for the last 2 years. It takes them 1 to 2 hours twice per day of their precious time to maneuver around the horrible traffic because the road work has been delayed by the mayor. Coming and going through this bottleneck is an impossible and frustrating task, and the road work should have already been completed if the mayor had not held it up for his big bridge. You cannot put an accurate cost on this number, and the mayor is directly responsible. Another lost cost, opportunity cost, is the fact that most of the economic activity has been put on hold, awaiting the outcome of road improvements. Again, we cannot define this number, and it has left Haslet without the much-needed sales tax revenue we could use to make other improvements in the city. The mayor has set this city backwards for years, and the harm is insurmountable. In the meantime, other areas around us are booming. Another lie the mayor has repeated over and over again many times, most recently in the last city council meeting, was the council wants a 6-lane road on FM 156. He stated this at the 1:54-minute mark in the last meeting. This is incorrect. The city council supports a 4-lane road with a divided median that will have turn lanes where appropriate. This is absolutely necessary for the safety of our citizens. It is beyond comprehension as to why the mayor is working against the betterment of Haslet, but his actions cannot be dismissed. I believe this is why a city administrator was hired, and his services are greatly needed to help Haslets get moving in the right direction. Joe Ashton has deep knowledge and experience on city government, and I'm looking forward to working with him in the future. Thank you for taking this job and helping our city grow. Shifting gears, I would like to speak on item 8E for proposed changes to motor vehicle policies. I'm against this ordinance change due to the restrictive language that has been applied to the current ordinance in place. In my view, it is an overreach that affects the older and larger neighborhoods in Haslet. Smaller and newer communities already have HOAs that have rules regarding the parking of recreational vehicles, while the older neighborhoods do not. It is not right for the city to change this freedom. Most families purchase these lots for this very reason and should not have their rights limited by city ordinance control. The code enforcer report does not have any complaints about parking of recreational vehicles that I could find. So why now has this issue come up? Is it for increasing fines on our fine folks? If so, I ask City Council to vote this item down and deny approval. There are many families in our neighborhoods that own businesses and have the need to park commercial vehicles on their own land. This right should not be governed by the city. What the city should do is enforce code laws against folks who have trash and rusted materials deteriorating in their yards that are visible from street views. I ask the city to concentrate their efforts in this area immediately. My second request is to have Haslet enter into an interlocal agreement with the city of Fort Worth for the use of the refuge center located at 301 Hillshire Drive off FM 156 by Bonds Ranch Road, located less than a mile from Haslet. This has been a request of many Haslet citizens for years, yet the mayor has done nothing to make this happen. If we had this arrangement, all citizens of Haslet could use this area for rubbish and very large items that cannot be picked up by our current trash company that we're in contract with. And they can enter this or go to this facility anytime during the year at their convenience. I would like to have this added to a future agenda item for council's actions. Thank you, City Council, for all the hard work that you do to improve our city. It is not an easy job, and you are doing a really great job, and I want to let you know it's greatly appreciated. Thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you, Ms. Wertz. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Barbara Long.
Ms. Long.
My husband's just going to come and stand with me because I had my treatment today, so I'm shaky. I'm Barbara Long, and we live at 121 Schreiber Drive in Haslet, Texas. So I'd like to just say hello to you of the City Council and Mayor Hulsey. Mayor Hulsey, I just would like to say one thing to you before I start, because I remember back when you ran for office, one of the things you hoped to do was retain the country feel of Haslet. And I'm going to speak to 8E, and that's removing that. And so I'm surprised that you support that. Just wanted to start with that. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am greatly concerned about item 8E, the item to hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act to approve the ordinance to amend Chapter 12. And I'm sure y'all will be talking about that in detail later. I'm against this ordinance change due to the restrictive language that has been added to our current ordinance. I do feel like it is an overreach to restrict the older neighborhoods in Haslet that are not governed by an HOA restrictions, and to create a path for the Code Enforcement Department to generate fines against the citizens of Haslet. I've lived in Haslet for 26 years, and we moved to Haslet Park in 2000 from San Antonio. We followed our children so we could be close to our grandchildren. We fell in love with the look and feel of Haslet, with acreage that allowed us to have that country feel. Plus, my grandkids love to come and be on our property. And at the time, we had a horse that lived next door, and that horse's name was Sassy. And what's interesting is that just this week, when I came home on Friday, there was a horse walking down the road. And so I pulled up and stopped beside them and said, "Oh my goodness, you just are filling me with the joy of living in this neighborhood, that we have this country feel." And anyway, we had a short little conversation. Anyway, we have had room to enjoy the life we wanted to spend in our retirement years. The larger, the acreage and the land felt right to us and gave us the ability to enjoy our hobbies, the beautiful outdoors that the area offers. During COVID, we purchased our first RV. As a stage 4 cancer patient, it was a safe way for us to travel and live life with everything we needed comfortably at hand. Last year, we replaced our gravel driveway and the entrance to our garage, which had deteriorated over the years when the house was built, with a new concrete pad and driveway at a significant cost. Curtis and I checked with the city and discussed our plans for this project, and it was a replacement project, yet there was no mention made of the possibility that we could not continue to park our new RV in that space, which we have used since 2021. That's where we've parked. The reason we park in this space on the side of our home is for my safety, so that I'm not having to walk across a ground that's uneven. And that's because of my current health condition. I want to continue by saying the people of Haslet Park are the kind of neighbors most people hope to have in their community. We watch out for each other, and we help each other when needed. I feel this new language in this ordinance, which seems like it's copied from the city of Fort Worth, is restricted and an overreach that targets the older developments in Haslet that do not have HOA rules. We do have covenants that we received when we went through our closure on our homes, though, and there's nothing like this in it. When my husband and I reviewed the court enforcement report from the last meeting, we didn't see any complaints about parking locations for RVs or commercial trucks. But I do want to say, we looked for the one that we received in 2025, but it wasn't listed. And I think the reason it wasn't listed is because the code enforcement officer realized that it was not a valid citation because there was no law in place. And so I kind of wonder if it's because of that, to turn that around to be right instead of what's best for our city. There were no complaints about parking the RVs or commercial trucks. There are families that have businesses that they own that require commercial vehicles, and some people have horse trailers that have always been allowed, things like that. They should have the right to park them on their property as they see fit, as long as it does not interfere with their neighbors' rights. I am not in favor of revising this ordinance as presented and request the City Council to deny this update. I officially give my support to the City Council and the new city administrator and say thank you for doing an excellent job to improve Haslet with all the problems the city has faced with related to traffic issues and many more things. I'm not sure who brought this one up, but there are much greater issues to solve. Please keep your focus on the real problems and not create new ones that restrict our own citizens' lives. Please do not approve the ordinance changes as being presented and deny this request. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Kathy Brandon.
Ms. Brandon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kathy Brandon, 213 Bain Road. Council, I watched the previous meeting where it was an absolute struggle with the mayor for the council to have letters read from people who submitted them. I want to let you know that I submitted a letter last August and asked that it be read. It was received, but it was not read aloud at the council meeting. When I called to ask why it wasn't read, I was told that my letter was given to the mayor. Apparently, it was his decision not to read it or have it read, and maybe it was because he didn't like what I had to say, or maybe it's because he doesn't like me. Who knows? But this kind of practice is totally unethical and needs to change. How many others have submitted letters that were ignored because they didn't share the same direction of the mayor? Council, please create a policy where everyone is treated fairly and equally, whether it's not reading any of the letters, or maybe summarizing all the letters, or maybe even having all the letters go directly to the attorney. Something needs to change, and we need your help to ensure the process is fair for all. I would also like to state that I'm against item 8E. I have acreage. I've been here 40-plus years. I have trailers, I have livestock, and this is just a huge change from what we have been accustomed to and have lived with all these years, and that's one of the reasons that we're here. It's because we have a place for the livestock and we have a place for our equipment. So thank you, and I ask that you vote against that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Brandon. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Michael John Martinez.
Mr. Martinez?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Live at 1624 Thunderbird Drive. You know, when I retired, I never thought I would have to spend some of my time, you know, in front of the council and voice my concerns. I've witnessed before speaking some of the past meetings. It was just really difficult to get my head around the actions of the mayor. I've been through different situations, as I mentioned before, contract negotiations with unions and, you know, different union members and what have you. And we always, you know, we'd be there, we'd have our time, voice our opinion, all that, and then have a break. It was cordial, good, we get back to business. Never got personal, but things got accomplished. And the action or inaction of the mayor, things are not getting accomplished as they need to be. The focus should be, the time, energy, resources should be focused on the infrastructure of the road. You know, it's been going on for a while. And without that infrastructure, businesses are not going to be attracted here. They don't want people going to their businesses, trying to get to their businesses, taking them 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes. And without those businesses, the resources are very limited. Energy shouldn't be focused on item 8E. That is an outlier. It shouldn't just vote it down. That's what we're asking. The lack of candor on the mayor, it seems that when you don't communicate with the city council, it seems like you have something to hide. You may not, but that's the impression. If you have nothing to hide, you should be working with the council members. It's like a team. You don't have to like them, but what happens is us, the residents, are the ones that suffer from it. And that's a shame. Something has to change. Speed of the captain, speed of the ship. You're the captain, and with a dysfunctional organization here, things are getting done like they should. I want to applaud the council members. I know it's difficult when there's no communication, you get blindsided. Where'd this come from? How can we act on it? They may have ideas that would benefit your goals, your objectives. They don't want to see you fail, but you're putting yourself in that position to fail. And like I said, we're the ones that are going to suffer from it. So vote no on the AD. Applaud you folks, council members. I know it's a difficult position to be in, and our support and thoughts are with you. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Laura Schlotteroff.
Ms. Slaughterhoff.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Laura Schlotteroff, 1195 Wildson Way. I'll keep this short, I promise. I was going through my phone messages the other day and came upon my text message thread with Mayor Halsey. I started scrolling back through to see how we used to interact with one another when we had a working relationship. As other folks have mentioned, Mayor Halsey preferred mode of communication is by phone call rather than text or email. To my surprise, one of the few text messages I found is related to the discussion about emailed public comments and how they should be allowed to be read. Here is the thread. Mayor Halsey, call me when convenient. Gary H. I called earlier this week but missed you. I'm sitting waiting for a train if you're free. I have a few minutes now. Mayor Halsey, are you still available? No, I have a staff meeting. I will try later this afternoon. Thumbs up by Mayor Halsey. I said, I'm done with work. Are you available now, he says, or later? I said, yep. December 2nd, 2024. Mayor Halsey, I received your email. Please call this evening. Very short call, promise. Thanks, Gary H. Laura, I'm about to send my letter to the other council members and city secretary. Gary Halsey, okay, call if you can. I said, now or later? Now is good, he says. December 2nd, 2024, later that afternoon. Laura, the attorney said your name and address would need to be cited for your letter to be read as record. You can still send email to the council and city secretary. I'll read that again. The attorney said your name and address would need to be cited for your letter to be read as record. You can still send email to the council and city secretary. Mayor Halsey and Mr. Page both stated that emails with name and address would need to be cited for my letter to be read. Council, you have my full support. Joe, you have my full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Slaughterhoff. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Doreen Snedeker.
Ms.
Okay.
And what item would that be?
It's the public hearing, 8E.
Okay. Do we have another speaker?
Yes, Leah Preston.
Ms. Preston.
Hi, I'm Leah Preston. I live at 1608 Nettle Lane. I just want to start by saying I opposed hiring a city manager. Sorry, Joe. But I wrote letters to the council members explaining why I didn't think we should hire a city administrator. That being said, I hope and I pray that you are successful in this position, that you're here for a long time, and that you are good for Haslet. Just like I hope each and every one of you are successful in your positions, because we can't get anywhere by fighting with each other. If we're fighting with each other, nothing is getting done in Haslet. And that's been my frustration for years now, is that there's been drama and picking at each other and ego, and nothing gets done. The road on 156 is the exact same as it was when I moved here in 2019, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I am asking tonight that the city staff and the mayor treat Mr. Ashton with respect and kindness that he deserves. Whether you wanted a city manager or administrator or not, it doesn't matter. He's a human and he deserves to be treated right. He doesn't deserve to be kicked out of meetings. He doesn't deserve to be having meetings canceled on him or having intimidating tactics. All that does is create drama and create gossip and everything. And what doesn't get done is the road. What doesn't get done is the bridge. What doesn't happen is that I don't get to go to Worthington and back in 20 minutes. I'm still getting to Worthington and back in an hour and a half, and that's just unacceptable. The entire purpose of being a politician is that you bring opposing sides together. So I would ask that you just treat Mr. Ashton with the respect that he deserves, because it's a reflection of your character and the city of Haslet. So less ego, more roads, less drama, more road work.
Thank you, Ms. Preston. Do we have another speaker?
Sandra Smith?
Ms. Smith.
Sandra Smith, 300 Gamble Street. I'd like everyone here, everyone in this room, to listen to the fact that what I'm about to say is from the perspective of Old Town. Only Old Town, because that's where I've been a lifelong resident. So I'd like to address Councilman Carruthers, Councilman Gilbert on the letter writing campaign. And I think it's noble that you were taking care of our neighbors to the west. But last time I checked, y'all were elected here in Haslet. And you haven't been privy to the drug deals that happen, that come into the park and back out again. You haven't been privy to the speedway that is 1st Street, 2nd Street, Main Street, and Hurley, and Gamble Street. You haven't been privy to the near miss running of stop signs from all these folks to the west. And I'm sure those are not the same people that wrote the letters. But I can tell you, nearly every night I'm awakened by people cutting through, revving their engines, blaring their radios, and it's a quality of life issue that Keller-Haslet be rerouted. And I want to thank the mayor for paying attention to those few of us who live in Old Town. We don't live in the big subdivisions. And it's a quality of life issue that was addressed. And I guess as of today, that road is cut off. So I may actually get to sleep through the night. So there is two sides to every story. And I certainly can't speak to the Meadow or the Vines or North Glen or Haslet Park, where three of you live. 3 of you live in Haslet Park. So Haslet Park's taken care of. But here in Old Town, there's less than 10 of us who actually live in our homes. So we're a minority. So I'd appreciate it if the crowd would be aware of the fact that we also live here, we pay our taxes, and you're supposed to represent us. And the mayor's paid attention to those few of us who've had our quality of life addressed. And I gotta tell you, drug deals in the park and all this money being thrown at the park is disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me because I have to watch it. And as far as the bridge goes, short bridge, long bridge, it's gonna be right out my front door. Right out my front door. I can step into my driveway and see either one. So my concerns for the bridge are different than these people's are, because we're going to be cut off from the rest of the town. When that bridge goes in, either way, Old Town's going to be cut off from the rest of the subdivisions. Nobody's looked at that. Nobody's addressed that. Nobody's concerned with that, because, hey, it's just the 10 of us down here, right? And as far as the code enforcement goes, now, y'all have your big lots. You have your 2-acre tracts, your 1-acre tract, 1 acre in Haslet Park for the 3 of you, right? We have small lots here. And so the things that go on here with RVs or commercial vehicles or cars parking in the front yard look way different than y'all's properties do, because our lots are small city lots. So our code enforcement officer has so improved just our view of Old Town, because even addressing was wrong. Code enforcement went and addressed addressing because people had the wrong address on their house. You had people that didn't live here using addresses in Old Town because they knew the houses were vacant or they were rentals. There's a lot of things that go on here these folks don't address. They don't care about it because it's not their neighborhood. But I care about it. It's my neighborhood. The last thing I'd like to say is I attended last Wednesday's Type B HD EDC meeting. I was the only one in the chamber. There was 2 public meetings on the agenda. And I was prepared. I came prepared to speak to one of those. So that board's chair decided to go off agenda and then reorder the agenda and move the retire the executive session early. Okay, so, I've had a rough couple of weeks, and so I just wasn't prepared to wait around until they got out, because there was no apparent reason for that to happen. There was nothing special. The attorney wasn't here. It felt like they didn't want to hear what I had to say. That's what it felt like. Now, I don't know what the truth is, but that's what it felt like. So, I want to say publicly, I don't appreciate being treated that way. It's inappropriate. And that same individual will accuse others of not being transparent. And if that was a lack of transparency, I don't know what it was. Because it was obvious they didn't want to hear what I had to say. And these folks here may not hear what I want to have to say, but I have a right to say it because I live here, I live in Old Town, and you ran to represent us all, even maybe the 10 of us in Old Town. Mr. Carruthers, you represent us all, not the folks to the west. And I can tell you, I've been cussed at by people driving by, cutting through. I've been in my backyard and had to put up with this. You wouldn't believe the kind of abuse people cutting through town. So mayor and staff, because I know the staff work really hard on Keller-Haslet Extension, and I appreciate that. I hope my quality of life is better and I can sleep at night. And I want to thank code enforcement for trying to address things that are unique to Old Town that may not be true in Brentwood, Haslet Park, the Meadow, all these other neighborhoods. But I very much appreciate the staff and what's been done to improve my quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Do we have another speaker?
The remainder of the in-person that we received are of the public hearing for item 8E. But we received 3 emails that wanted to be read aloud.
Right.
The other emails were for the public
Okay,
hearing.
at this, do we have anybody online that's wanting to speak?
No, sir.
Very good. Okay, please go ahead with your reading.
Yes, the first one is Wendy Lopez. There is no address. So I'm writing to formally request immediate action regarding the closure of Keller-Haslet Road Extension. The road has been closed since February 12th and is not scheduled to reopen until March 6th. The impact on Sendera Ranch residents has been substantial and unacceptable. Since the closure, commute times have more than doubled for many families who must travel east. Traffic congestion exiting the neighborhood has become excessive, creating daily delays and avoidable stress. This morning, I was forced to drop my son off at school at 7:05, 15 minutes before the doors open, so that I could make it to work on time. He had to wait outside in near freezing temperatures because I do not have leave time available to excuse a late arrival. No family should be placed in this position due to preventable traffic mismanagement. What is most concerning is that there has been no visible construction activity on this roadway for several consecutive days. Keeping a fully functional road closed without active work being performed demonstrates a lack of urgency and accountability. While residents understand that growth requires infrastructure improvements, we do not accept prolonged closures without progress, transparency, or clear communication. The simultaneous closure of Gamble Street has further compounded the issue by eliminating an alternative right turn route and funneling all traffic through a single corridor. This reflects poor coordination and a disregard for the daily realities of working families. Residents deserve better planning, better communication, and better execution. If the road is not actively under construction, it should be reopened immediately. If legitimate operational reasons prevent a reopening, those reasons should be clearly communicated to the community without delay. I respectfully but firmly request that Keller-Haslet Road extension be reopened as soon as possible, or that a detailed explanation be provided outlining why it cannot be. Let's see, the next one is Sierra Hickman, and no address. I'm sorry, Sierra Smith, no address. I'm writing to express continued concerns regarding the worsening traffic conditions affecting the Haslet and North Fort Worth communities. The recent overlapping road closures and construction projects throughout the area, combined with the significant volume of traffic being redirected to Highway 156, Avondale-Haslet Road, Westport Parkway, Haslet Parkway, Highway 287, North Star Parkway, Highway 114, John Day Road, and Blue Mountain Road have created substantial congestion and issues. Nearly every roadway connecting a major highway into Haslet is now under increased strain. While some of these roads fall under Haslet jurisdiction and others under Fort Worth, the impact is collectively felt by residents of all surrounding communities. While infrastructure improvements are important and construction is necessary, the current closures have led to extended delays throughout much of the day rather than during limited peak hours. Traffic is now backing up onto major highways, which raises safety concerns and increases the risk of accidents. Students are arriving late to school, emergency response times are affected, and overall frustration among residents has noticeably increased, resulting in more frequent road rage incidents. For your reference, I have attached photos documenting current traffic conditions. In my email dated 2/13/2026, I requested a copy of the traffic impact study and any emergency response evaluations related to those closures. I have yet to receive a response. Given the severity of the congestion, I would appreciate confirmation as to whether these studies were conducted and, if so, a copy for public review. I again respectfully request that construction timelines be reevaluated to determine whether work can be expedited and that additional traffic flow management strategies be implemented. This may include enhanced signage, adjusted signal timing, increased traffic control presence, or clearer public communication regarding expected delays and alternate routes. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I look forward to a response and to understanding what steps are being taken to ensure both safety and efficiency. And the last one is Cindy Laird at 219 Main Street. As a resident of Old Town and living on Main Street, I'm opposed to Main Street becoming a one-way street. It will make it difficult for me to leave my house and return. It will be a great hindrance to the people coming in from Burlington Northern and Sendera Ranch. These are our neighbors. Why make it harder for them? When you open the other street going into Highway 156, traffic on Main Street went down at least 80%, and it was not difficult at all. Please leave Main Street a two-way street and reopen the other road. You solved the problem, so please leave it alone.
Very good.
Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
I thank everybody for their comments.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman.
Ms. Laird had another comment as well, but it seems like it's for 8E specifically. Would that be
Yes, it
read
is.
then?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Yes, we have 4 other comments that we received, but they were all for item 8E, so during the public hearing.
Very good. All right then. I would like to take a, say, a 5-minute recess, just to take a needed break right now for the restroom. So I recess the open session meeting at 7:55 if we return by 8 o'clock. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We resume the city council meeting. All the council members are present at 8:04 p.m. We go to item 5, items of community interest. The general election will be held Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the purpose of electing council members place 1, place 3, and place 5. Early voting is over with. No, excuse me. I'm thinking the primary. My apologies. Early voting will take place from April 20, 2026 through April 28, 2026. As the election approaches, specific locations will be posted in accordance with state law. Please visit on our webpage, elections page, for the current information. Our annual Easter egg hunt will be held Saturday, March 28, 2026, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the community park. Come one, come all. It's a great time. They have thousands of Easter eggs out there, and all the kids just have a grand time. Updates on active items, projects, and event recaps. Fire station expansion project. Mr. Tucker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple updates here. Next slide there. There's not any really fantastic pictures to show you, so I just included one there provided by the fire chief. It's electrical going in. So basically the current construction activities is they're doing the electrical rough, which has been completed. So that's, all the main wires, but not the plugs and switches, things like that. They're in the process of doing plumbing. As soon as that's done, wall insulation spray foam is supposed to go in this week. Brick and stucco is also scheduled, and they are working on the rock drainage that goes behind the retaining wall and backfilling that. And at the last meeting, their estimated date of completion was 4/9. That's, subject to change based on weather, things like that. So that's the update for that item. Slide, please.
Before we move on, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask a small favor? I know it says fire station expansion project, but won't that project also include a couple of rooms for our sheriff's department as well?
Yes, it has an area, but it's all inclusive in this building.
Yes, sir.
And to answer that question, is 500 square feet? Yes.
Well, I just think the citizens of Haslet might not realize that that's also included in the project, and I just wonder if we could maybe highlight that every now and then and just say it's going to increase the response times and that sort of thing for our sheriff's department, because they can clock in and out in Haslet instead of having to drive all the way to Lake Worth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we all know that we all can see that it's expanding the fire station, but it's also going to greatly help our sheriff's office.
Yeah, so when we started this project, that was noted that would be a great thing to do, is to provide them a dedicated controlled entry area for the Tarrant County Sheriff's officers, our deputies. And yes, we do have a police department, but it's staffed by Tarrant County deputies. And it's a 500 square foot dedicated area. It will enhance many aspects, and we're excited about it.
Thank you, sir.
Public Works buildings.
So far, they have completed that survey that was done 2 weeks ago in a topo, so that's been completed. We had a working meeting with engineering to go over just general site work and utilities. So planning is going on that, and they're currently working on that site plan. Next item. And then
Could whomever silence their phone? Give us just a minute. Well, who could that be, Mr. Ritchie?
all right, and then this is the update for that current Keller-Haslet Road Extension project. Currently, the Main Street section, Main Street North, basically leaving town here, is closed, and they are constructing what's pictured in that diagram there.
The big news is Keller-Haslet Extension's open to FM 156, please. That's an expressway for the Sendera people to FM 156. Very good, but go ahead and continue.
That opening actually happened roughly a week ahead of schedule, so we were glad to get that reestablished. And the only remaining items on this is the just basically construction of a raised median, and some various other signage and traffic devices. They're expected to be completed no later than 4/9, so that should be relatively quick. I'm not sure if there's another slide or not. That's it. I believe that's the only updates I had.
All right, Count, you had a question.
It seems as though we skipped over 6C. I didn't know if we were going to come back to that.
Oh, well, that was, this was part of his
Updates I
presentation.
had for me.
So he
Okay.
went right to it.
Right. Thank you, sir.
We'll come back to the, the Parks and Recreation Survey. All of you were mailed that. That is the survey itself. This is currently in front of the Park Board for their review and their comments and recommendations. When we get their recommendations, that will be included in this and provided to the City Council.
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
I had one question. When I went back and watched the Parks and Rec meeting, they had mentioned also a master plan. Was that something that the Parks Board would do or council would do if we got to that point?
Well, in that report to the Parks and Recreation Survey, the report included mentioning of master plans, but those were the past.
Right. The most recent was 2012 to 2022. So if I heard them discuss that they were looking into doing a master plan again, but would it, and their kind of comments were, would it go to council or would they do that on their end as a Parks Board?
Well, this council, I'm going to go back maybe 6 weeks ago, sometime or another, had said, and there's allocated money towards in our budget towards a master plan. So that would be action from the City Council to implement a master or to contract with a company to do a master plan.
Okay.
Mr. Halsey? The master plan that was spoke about a few weeks ago was talked about for the master plan for the fire station sports complex. That was not for the whole thing that Tanya's talking about.
Well,
Mrs. Morrow.
but those were the master plans that the council had mentioned, one for Nance Field and one for fire station fields.
Right, those were specific to sports fields, correct? I was just trying to remember back when on the Parks Board, if the Parks Board did that or it went to the council, so.
We could get more information on that.
Thank you.
And bring it up. And we'll pass it on. All right. The off-system grade separation grant application. No, Haslet was not granted that application. But the conversation's not over. As it turned out, there were, as you're aware, there were $250 million by the state of Texas to be allocated to either counties or cities for off-system bridge grade separation projects. Approximately 5, it might have been 6 projects were selected for a total of $160 million. No project was selected in the North Texas area, and particularly in the North Central Texas Council of Governments region, which is approximately a 16-county area. No project was selected. TxDOT, or the state rather, has $90 million yet to apply to bridges or off the grade separations. TxDOT Rail Division is the entity in Austin that was the manager of this program. They called the mayor's office Thursday evening to let us know that we did not get selected, but also made the comment that the TxDOT Rail Division had reached out to the North Central Texas Council of Governments Transportation Division to have conversation with regard to how they may work together to find additional federal money to go with the $90 million to construct bridges here in this COG area, in this 16-county area. And that was also confirmed with the Director of Transportation with the North Central Texas Council of Governments on Friday. So the conversation is not over here in the, I believe in around the March 10th is when they have a meeting to start those discussions. And we'll keep you informed at that time.
So Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
at our December meeting, it was stated if by the end of February we weren't approved, they would move forward with the shorter bridge for relief. So is that going to be moving forward?
That was the understanding at that time, but that the TxDOT Rail Division, Austin TxDOT, as well as North Central Texas Council of Governments, we working in conjunction with TxDOT Fort Worth District with regard to those next steps.
And what you said, March, what was the date? I'm sorry.
March
10th?
10.
Okay.
But that will be regarded, as I have been told, that will be regarded to funding.
Okay, 'cause that's at the same meeting, or the
And
January meeting.
am reaching out as well if what are the plans with regard to the small bridge.
Right, in the January meeting, yeah, if we didn't get the grant, they would go back to work, was TxDOT leadership's comment. So I was wondering if they were going to get back to work to get that 60% to 100%.
Well,
design.
that was what the plan was then, and now that TxDOT Rail Division in Austin is reaching out to the COG with regard to additional funding, federal funding that may be coupled with the $90 million that's still left. Their plan may change. I will find out here soon. As soon as I do, I'll pass that information on to you.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you saying something about a small bridge, because in recent meetings, multiple times you said there is no small bridge, it's dead, it doesn't exist. Multiple ways you've said there is no small bridge. But I wonder, you had said, as Tanya just pointed out, that if your bridge grant application didn't initially get funding, that you were going to start supporting the small bridge. You said that to us. You said it to Manny Ramirez. And now you're saying, oh, well, no, the conversation's not over. How much longer is this going to string along? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? It's already been pushed. We could have had the small bridge already done. Now even if we got this grant, it was going to be another 5 years. So now we're going to wait for another 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 5 years. Like there's got to be an end point at some point.
The small bridge, TxDOT Fort Worth District are the ones that said that they wanted to stop work because of the column issue.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And we talked about this last time at council meeting.
Well, excuse me, the senior leadership of the Fort Worth District had met with the city, and that's what they told us.
Well,
Nonetheless,
Sir, they
I'm
told you that
interested-
because you were requesting the grade to be less. So you wanted the grade to be less because you requested the grade to be less is what shifted that column into the railway, sir. So yes, you knew exactly what you were doing by requesting that. And all you're doing now is another wild goose chase that's going to waste years more of time and make these roads never get better.
And
So
Tarrant
thank
Tarrant
you
County,
for your brilliant leadership, sir.
Tarrant County, NTCOG, and TxDOT are putting on this workshop next Thursday, and the bridge is one of the things on there.
well, very good. I would go to it if I were you.
Oh, we're absolutely going to be there to see what they have to say, because that way we'll have more information from other sources. You keep referencing TxDOT and NTCOG and all these. We'll have to see what they say.
Well, I work with these different entities.
and then you don't always give us all the information. You just give the parts that match with what you
I
want.
give you all the information, it's that you don't want to accept it.
No,
That's not
excuse
what
me.
our other meetings have told us, because
Chris.
we have talked to other people, and there's got to be a deadline. There's got to be an endpoint.
We're
need
not
this
accepting
bridge
another
already.
wild goose chase. Your wild goose chases are done. Your grant application that you've been betting everything on is dead.
So-
You have no other option than to move forward with what's going to be right for the citizens of Haslet. Not your ego or your agenda. The citizens of Haslet.
Here, so,
Well,
I like the information, Mayor, that you're passing along information. This is real interesting because back in January, I specifically asked at a council meeting, and you agreed. You looked at me and you agreed you would provide the grant application being turned in. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Exhibit A. We've got a thumb drive, March 2nd, 2026.
Finally got it.
I don't know what's on here yet. I haven't looked at it.
It's right here.
So after the bridge grant has already been announced, and 2 months after it was requested, a jump drive magically appears. Each council person has one. I even recommended I would go to Walmart and buy a 2 terabyte stick drive, $23 to put this on. He said it was too large. I can tell you, I work for a telecom company, supplies information data centers. 2 terabyte stick drive would hold most everything on the computers in this building. So, Mayor, you do not pass along information. You don't do it. March 2nd, 2026. Thank you for this. 2 months late. But I will say, there wasn't 5 or 6. If the mayor took accurate notes, he knows there's 5. Laredo, Potter County, Randall County, which encompasses the city of Amarillo, splits it in half, Houston, and San Antonio. There's exactly 5. And if you go back and look at the council member at the council meetings, we were told multiple times the city of Haslet is the poster child for this grant program. We're the poster child. I guess we're the poster child for losers of grants. But you sat right here and said, we are the poster child for this program. And I can tell you this, that is not a correct statement, because there was, I'm going to butcher it, he was a representative for the state, lived in Houston, got killed in a train crossing. That's the reason this whole grant program came about. And that's one reason Houston did get it. They also got additional funding. So we were never the poster child for this grant program. That was, wishful thinking on somebody's part, but obviously it wasn't us. So if you pass along information, one, let's try to be timely and not 2 months after the fact. We've asked you, I have asked you time and time and time again to provide us updates, and you refuse to do it. Now you flip around and you'll say, you never call me. No, because we don't trust you. It's just like a lady spoke earlier. You want phone calls because it's not on the record. We want emails so there's a paper trail. There's a reason for that. It's so we can reach out to our attorney and we can validate what's needed. I can't send a phone call to Jeremy. If you need to discuss this information, pass that information along to us in a timely fashion and in writing, so we know what's going on as a council. These people, we had a resident say, we don't represent Old Town. We don't know what's going on in Old Town. Well, I would say that's because staff doesn't let council know what's going on in Old Town. So if you got a beef about what the council knows, talk to staff. They're the ones that are supposed to educate the council. So, Mayor, you do what you need to. We need to push for the small bridge. We need a bridge. We need to move people, bottom line. Yep. And I'll tell you, the folks I talked to, one person down in Austin with TxDOT, he called Jeff Neal on February 24th. There was a federal grant program that was closing that day. This gentleman asked if we wanted to participate in that grant program. They had $5 billion trying to give away because they took it from the state of California. And he was told, no, we didn't want to participate.
I never spoke with them. I don't know of that grant program.
Well, there again,
Did Jeff Neal's? I have any idea what Jeff Neal's conversation was.
well, then you're out of touch with the people writing our grants, because didn't Jeff write, let's say predominantly write the grant? He may have had some help. So you're not in touch with the people writing our grants or what's involved. So here again, we refuse that one. So who's to say what we're going to do with this next federal grant program? We don't know.
And that could have covered Blue Mountain too.
It could have covered a lot. So we chose not to participate. So
I
don't
believe
know.
that's what that conversation is between TxDOT Rail Division and
I think we've stated before.
Central Texas Council of Government. That's whom Jeff Neal works for.
We stated before, once we found out the information about this bridge, we need to move on. We need to move on with the small bridge. TxDOT has the engineering capabilities to put columns anywhere they want to put for any type of bridge they want to put.
And it's fully funded.
So
Let's get it done. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I know you really want this big bridge. I know you want this to cement your legacy about the bridge, but there's so many residents, I believe, out here, and probably more that are watching this online, that want to get something done now or soon. And we don't want to wait 5+ years to get a bridge and get relief. So please, can you drop your big bridge and let's get going on this small bridge and get it designed and get it done. Let's get this traffic fixed. Get your ego out of the way. Get this done.
Well, the small bridge was not stopped for the big bridge.
Yes, you told us, yeah. In December
No,
and...
but TxDOT chose to stop
Right, but
that.
you're right, but it was stopped because of that, and now in 2 meetings...
But it wasn't because of the application.
Yes, it was, you said we would wait until the application...
That's
and
what
then-
they want to do.
Right, and then we would move forward with the small bridge. And I also mentioned Haslet Parkway also was stopped and could be continued now. And I wanted to make a point, I think that meeting, or you were talking about, you said March 10th, it's actually March 12th. So you're talking about this meeting?
No.
So you said you'll find out information on March 10th?
They will have a meeting, Austin,
Okay, that's
TxDOT
different.
Austin. That's different from that.
Okay,
Has nothing to do with that.
so March 10th is the Rail Division Austin, TxDOT, and then March 12th is this. Okay,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
Let's go to Avondale-Haslet Road and Bridge Path Forward. That ties into, that is in coordination with the meeting that TxDOT from Austin office will have with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and with regard to funding. But also at that same time, the discussion about the small bridge will be with the local TxDOT district. That won't, to my knowledge, I have not been told that that will be part of that March 10th meeting. So the small bridge, if TxDOT Fort Worth District, they will be in communication with the TxDOT Rail Division on moving forward. So TxDOT Austin will help give direction, as well as COG give direction to the TxDOT Fort Worth District on the path forward.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm just so giddy over here. I've heard you say small bridge 5 times tonight. I appreciate that.
Well, it was the mayor who got the small bridge conversation started 5 years ago.
Okay, but
There was no bridge. Let me to make note is that once the design got started, whoever the consulting firm that was doing the bridge design for TxDOT, for Orth District, it took them 4 years to submit the 60%, and it got rejected.
None of that matters.
It doesn't. What
matters
matters is
is
if they had done it in a timely way and in a good design, it may be built by now.
No, no, it wouldn't have been, because you have been fighting against this. You went down, you did your own, you told me, 1-to-1, you told me you did your own evaluation of the small bridge. It was
Right.
not adequate. You drove all the way to Austin to argue with the engineer down there.
Well, I didn't argue with him.
And then you had a community meeting at the Baptist church a month or two ago. People sitting out here were there,
Yeah.
and you said, word for word, there is no small bridge. That is what you said in that community meeting. There is no small bridge.
There's no approved 60%.
That is not what you said.
There's no approved 60% design for a small
And then somebody
bridge.
asked you, where did the big bridge come from? Was it council? Was it TxDOT? You said, no, it was me. It was all me.
For the last 5 years, you've been doing it.
So much
So
so,
all
Mayor
of a sudden,
Halsey.
you're doing a 180. And I'm loving the fact that
Yeah.
you're talking about a small bridge. So I really appreciate that.
So much so, Mr. Halsey, that you actually have blocked the Haslet Parkway extension connecting to 156. Because imagine the pressure relief of Haslet Parkway connecting into 156, which is also connecting it to Avondale-Haslet. But remember those two intersections that we had at that one council meeting that we brought up, the Schoolhouse Road intersection and the other one that were already designed and ready to go, but they were interfering with your big bridge, and your big bridge was supposed to go over Schoolhouse Road. So how could you have an intersection at Schoolhouse Road that connected Haslet Parkway to 156, and i.e. Avondale-Haslet, sir? But that would just ruin your big bridge. So
I
you
had
couldn't do that
nothing to
anymore.
do with the big bridge.
Oh, it had
And
everything.
it was,
You could have connected Haslet Parkway to 156 right now. That's a project the city can move forward right now. Right now.
I'm impressed that y'all
Connected to
assigned me
156.
so much power to have these projects done.
Oh, no, sir. We took your power and gave it to somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't worry.
The TxDOT Fort Worth District is the entity, because it was under contract, that they had charge of the construction of that road that stopped construction.
And how much money did you steal from that project to pay for your big bridge
And
designs?
they stopped it because the city of
None.
Hazlet was not cooperating with them, i.e. you were not
How much
cooperating
money
with
did you
them.
spend on the big bridge design that we now aren't getting? I mean, it's thousands
Oh,
and thousands of dollars.
15,000 just for the application fee. 15,000 just for the application fee, right?
By the way,
Gary?
he did
Am I
not.
right?
That he did
That you
not
did.
ever say any word to about council.
There was no application fee.
Yeah, yes, there was. You told
Yes,
me
there
that
was.
it was $15,000.
It's not a
from
fee
Kimley
to
Horn
apply.
that came out of Fund 26 at Haslet Parkway.
There was money spent for
Right.
engineering, yeah.
Right, that's the 15,000 that came out of Fund 26.
But it wasn't an application fee. You know, you had to pay a fee to apply.
And I think I bring this up every time we mention the small bridge, that I still, for some reason, felt it was important to print off the message from Dr. Ryder Warren on May 7th of 2021 that said, a group of area and state leaders have been discussing ways to alleviate some of these issues for our area. We had an exciting meeting a couple weeks ago, so this has been pre-May, April. Michael Morris, Representative Matt Kraus, North Texas Central Governments, BNSF, and other local and state officials have come to a conclusion that we need to separate the BNSF rail from the road at one of the most congested intersections in the district. It'll be a multi-year process. Granted, this was 2021, but this group is committed to seeing the work done. So it was there in April, and the excitement that everybody, when they received this from Northwest Independent School District, was obviously important enough that I printed it off because I wanted to remember when they were going to get it going.
Well, very good. We move on. Consent agenda, item 7. Council, you have the approval of the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes and the February 17th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that I want on the city council minutes for the January 12th, 2026, I want a bullet added to the minutes on agenda item 7C, that during the course of the meeting, it was asked the mayor to provide council members the information for the bridge grant proposal that was being sent in, and that as of May 1st, 2026, council never received that information.
March 1st?
March 1st, 3/1/2026.
I'll second that.
Let me ask that, okay, you mentioned just the January 12th. What about February 17th?
I'm letting Ms. Crystal finish writing her notes down, so she's not interrupted, please. Thank you. So this time I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for 7A, the City Council, January 12, 2026 minutes, with the note added for item 7C, which Ms. Blaylock has noted. Also the minutes for the City Council member meeting, February 17, 2026.
Motion is made to approve the minutes of January 12th with notes, comments noted, and also for approving the February 17th, 2026 meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 8A. Hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act on a noise variance request for the Freeman Toyota construction site to conduct early concrete pours. There will be a presentation, we'll hold a public hearing, and then we'll go to discuss, consider, and act. Mr. Schwenke. You. All right.
Mayor and council, at the request of the building official to present this item in place of him tonight, what you have before you is a variance request to deviate from our construction work hours. And this is being requested by Ridgemont Commercial Construction, and it's for their construction project, which is the Toyota auto dealership located at 11971 North Freeway. The request is to start as early as 1 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and it's going to be in order to complete concrete work on their construction site. They've offered several items in here to help mitigate any nuisance they would cause, and the building official noted that they are roughly 2,500 feet from a nearest resident. The applicant is in the audience tonight to answer any kind of questions specifically to this work. If you'd like, we can have them answer those.
Yes, is the applicant here? Yes, sir, thank you. So you're asking to start at 1 a.m. from Monday through Saturday?
Correct. It's not going to be every day of the week. It's just whenever we get concrete, something set up, it might be twice a week. It could be 3 times a week. Most likely won't be more than 3 times. We are almost half mile away, and the lights that we have out there will be shining towards the freeway, so they'll never shine back towards the homes. Noise-wise, there's going to be some backup bells. I would love to disconnect them, but I cannot because of safety reasons. Even if we had flagmen, we couldn't do that. But I don't believe you're going to hear any noise from us at all. No concrete trucks coming down Blue Mountain Road or Harmon Road. Everything's coming off the freeway up front. Nobody's allowed to come on the back side. So I think it's pretty good. It won't be too loud and the lights won't be shining at all.
For what duration? Weeks or months?
It's going to be for the next probably 9 months.
Oh, God. So it's off and on for 9 months?
It's off and on. There might be weeks we don't even pour anything. It just depends when we get something ready. There's a lot of utility work that's got to go in under the ground first before we get to this area. So I now our main focus is we got a big parking lot up front on the freeway that there's no utilities underneath that I can get poured and used for staging areas and things. So we'd like to start there, and then again, the pours, correct me if I'm wrong, I got Mark with Ken here. Yeah. No more than 3 pours a week, I don't think, once we get going, or maybe.
Correct, yeah. The main reasons we have to do this such early is just for obviously the weather and traffic at the time, you know. We would want to be it take longer to get to the job, and it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour 1,000 yards and those guys are really tired. We would want to be it take longer to get to the job, and it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour, it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour 1,000 yards and those guys are really tired. So we could do under at night and the temperature. We would want to be it take longer to get to the job, and it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour, it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour 1,000 yards and those guys are really tired. So we could do under at night and the temperature. We would want to be it take longer to get to the job, and it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour, it just makes it faster for us. And then going back to the weather thing, when it gets to the summer months, you're trying to pour 1,000 yards and those the temperature.
Council, if you could assemble at the dais. All right, I call the open session back in session. All the council are present at 8:59 p.m. Item 8B, discuss, consider, and
Mayor
act.
Halsey, sorry to interrupt. Would you possibly entertain going to 8E at this point? 'Cause we have a lot of people here that want to talk regarding that.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
8E. hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act to approve ordinance XXX 2026 to amend Chapter 12, Division 2 by adding subsections 12.06.104, parking and standing close to curb in the direction of traffic, and subsection 12.06.105, stopping, standing, and parking in certain places, and by adding Division 5, parking of certain vehicles on residential properties. So, Ms. Smith, would you like to do a presentation, please?
Yes. So I'm Pamela Smith. I'm with Code Enforcement. So the proposed amendments to Chapter 12 of the City of Haslet Code of Ordinances are designed to modernize and clarify the city's traffic and parking regulations. These updates address both public safety and community quality of life concerns related to vehicles, parking, and roadway accessibility, clarify enforcement authority, establish consent standards for residential parking, and ensure that our municipal code remains enforceable. Fair and transparent. Chapter 12, Haslet's traffic and parking regulations is a sound, forward-thinking policy that aligns with the state law under the Texas Transportation Code and the Texas Local Government Code. Division 2 amendments refine existing provisions to ensure vehicles are parked parallel to the curb in the direction of traffic flow and at a safe distance from intersections, fire hydrants, and driveways. These changes align local ordinances with the Texas Transportation Code and promote safe, orderly streets. Division 5 introduces new standards for the parking of certain vehicles on residential properties, including motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and recreational vehicles. The regulations define appropriate parking surfaces, restrict oversized commercial and recreational vehicles in residential areas, and establish reasonable allowances for temporary parking related to loading, unloading, and maintaining. These provisions are supported by the enforcement authority guaranteed under the Texas Local Government Code and Transportation Code, which enables the city code enforcement officers to enforce non-moving parking violations. The intent is to preserve neighborhood character, maintain emergency access, and ensure compliance through education and consistent enforcement. Mayor and council members, as Haslet continues to grow, we have a responsibility to ensure that our neighbors remain safe, accessible, and welcoming for everyone. The proposed updates to Chapter 12 are not just about regulating where vehicles can park. They're about protecting the character of our community and preserving the quality of life that our residents value deeply. These changes will help keep our streets clear of emergency vehicles, improve visibility for drivers and pedestrians, and maintain the clean, orderly appearance that defines Haslet's neighborhoods. They also give our code enforcement team the clarity and authority they need to apply the rules fairly and consistently across the city. This ordinance reflects what our residents have asked for: safe streets, well-kept neighborhoods, and a city that continues to grow responsibly. By adopting these amendments, we're taking a proactive step to ensure that Haslet remains a place where families feel proud to live, work, and invest in their future. Together, we can continue both building a community that balances growth with care, progress with preservation, and policy with people. This recommendation is by city staff to adopt the proposed amendments to Chapter 12 of the City of Haslet Code Enforcement, or Code of Ordinances as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, as we did on the previous, since we have a public hearing on that, that was our presentation. I would like to go to the public hearing, and after the public hearing, council, you would have all your questions. All right, at this time, at 9:04 p.m. I open the public hearing to this item. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to speak to this item?
Yes, we received multiple requests to speak, and we have some that wrote in as well.
All right, our first speaker,
In person, we have Doreen Snedeker.
Ms. Snedeker.
Doreen Snedeker, 304 Odessa Drive, Haslet, Texas. Mayor, council, staff. I have some questions about the ordinance first, and then I have a statement. Under 12.06.105, should you add G, stating that a parked vehicle so many feet from the corner, you know, like so when a bus or the fire truck turns, they can't hit the vehicle? Should that be also included? Also, under definitions, who is the building official? Under parking of certain vehicles on residential property, it references a building official. Who is that? Also on 12.06.174, the parking of large recreational vehicles on a property, it says that you can apply for a continuous permit. How long is that for? Is that a week, a month, a year? It's not clear. Okay, it seems that to me that the changes are not necessary since Haslet is almost built out and any neighborhoods would be covered under an HOA. All the non-HOAs are grandfathered in. It would only apply to new builds in non-HOA areas, and those might be far and few between, and 1 acre and above. Also, in the past, the Planning and Zoning Committee were the ones to review, discuss, and bring it forward to the public before it was put to a vote by council. Why were these additions to Chapter 12 not done in this manner? I respectfully ask that the City Council deny the changes put forth tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
Patrick Ritchie.
Mr. Ritchie.
Mayor and council, city administrator. My name is Patrick Ritchie. I live at 404 Blue Mountain Road. Much like we've had in the past, our city does not fit into one box. The unique part of our city is that we have every type of home that anybody could have. You know, we have small lots and we have gigantic lots. So it's hard to fit all that into one box. And we've had this problem with such things as outbuildings. We fought this battle, how big an outbuilding, what to build, who's what, where, behind, in front of. It's tough. It's really tough to come up with a one size fit all. So don't even try. You can't make it work. You got to look at every area of the city. And you know, when I look at things now, Old Town, Haslet Park, Brentwood, and Hugh White are the only 4 areas that don't have an HOA as far as I know. All the new subdivisions are HOA dominated, and they pretty much don't allow anything like this to happen anyway. So I'm not sure we need more legislation in the city to try to enforce stuff that we probably can't enforce anyway, you know. We seem to be looking for a reason to shut something down, and I don't know what that is. I don't know where it came from. Now, if we're just trying to upgrade our ordinances to make them more modern, I understand, but we're not a real modern city right now. Maybe in a few years we may be, but we're not right now. We're still got, well, I have a 20-acre lot. And Miss Smith lives on a postage stamp, you know, compared to that. So the things that fit for her trailer and my trailers are 2 different things, you know, 2 different worlds. I have cattle, I have horses, you know. Everybody up in Hugh White has something different. We encouraged people to have an agricultural theme in this town. It's what we wanted. So you know, there's a lot of areas in this town that can be looked at. And I don't know anything about this parking and street parking. Maybe that's something that needs to be looked at. You know, we got a lot more streets and a lot more residences now than we used to have. So if there's issues about parking and safety, by all means. But don't go trying to fit Hugh White into a box that won't fit. And if you want to look at something, look at the pad sites in the city of Haslet. They've all gone to hell. They're all overgrown. Equipment's rotting out. You know, they look like crap. We're supposed to have an inspector that's supposed to take care of all of that. You know, let's go where the problems are. We're going to have a real problem with the pad site if we don't get them under control. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Our next speaker.
Jason Brooks.
And will you pronounce that last name again?
Brooks.
Mr. Prox.
B-R-O-O-K-S, Brooks. No problem. Jason Brooks, I live at 308 Odessa Drive. Good evening, everyone. Ms. Smith's presentation, she talked about quality of life. There are many more important things that are the quality of life in this city that have to do with other things besides who's parking their trailer where. I don't care. There's many people in our neighborhood that have commercial businesses. They have commercial vehicles that they have to use for their businesses. That's going to shut them down. There's a guy in our neighborhood that's got a dump truck. There's a guy in my neighborhood that's got a trailer business. I encourage that. I like to see that. This is going to shut them down. And what I see is I've had dealings with the code enforcement department in the past because I had a door on my storage shed that was falling off. And I fixed that. I had an engine that was sitting out in the driveway, and she said no outside storage. And I started asking questions. Hey, what about this property over here at so-and-so? What about this other property? I don't care personally, but I would like to be treated fairly. And I see some people being enforced in this town, and I see others that are not. They're come knocking on my door for one thing over here, whenever I see 1,000 things over there, and it doesn't seem fair at all. So why are we starting to make more rules to enforce? And my biggest question and my biggest fear is, what is the purpose? Why is this happening? Why are some people things are being enforced on their property and other people's are not? And my question is there something being weaponized in this town? Is this another thing to weaponize against people that certain people don't like? Are they trying to go after certain people that don't have an agreement with what's going on with them? Anyway, the biggest thing I wanted, and what Ms. Smith said, everything she said in there about quality of life for the citizens, there are so much more important things, and that goes to the expansion of 156 and build the small bridge.
Our next speaker. Thank you.
Oral Garcia.
Who is that?
Oral Garcia.
Mr. Garcia.
Hello, my name is Aurel Garcia. I'm here to oppose the agenda of 8E. I work construction. That's what I do for a living. I have several trailers.
Mr. Garcia, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you give us your address, please?
109 Odessa.
Thank you.
So, like I was saying, I work construction. I have some equipment, trailers that I use, and I also have an RV. You know, sometimes I get deliveries at my house, you know, to continue my work. That's how I make a living. I'm opposing 8E just because it's going to cause me more issues, more problems, more money that I don't have to fix whatever you guys are trying to fix. It just doesn't make sense. I've been in that house since 2003. Nobody telling me anything. Nobody telling me that these rules and all that stuff. I paid for a 100-foot driveway so that I can have the ability to buy stuff, continue my work. You know, eventually I want to get a boat. You know, I want to also show my kids that I want to be able to show them that I can do these things, you know, as little as they are, big as they are. feel like stuff like that, it belongs in some neighborhoods, some houses, but not in an acre lot property. You know, those houses have been forever with no issues. Some people have horses, chickens, cows. And it does belong in, this lady was saying that, you know, her street sometimes gets blocked off with trailers and stuff like that. I get that. But just keep it to the neighborhoods that do need that, not the ones that have the room for it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Our next speaker.
Jonathan Kutchuk.
And the last name again, please.
Kutchuk, K-U-T-C-H-U-K.
Yeah. Good evening. I'll try and keep it short. I know it's late. John Kutchuk, 125 Schreiber. I just wanted to publicly oppose 8E and a few things that Mrs. Smith had in her presentation that stuck out to me, like preserving the neighborhood character, safe and accessible, welcoming for everyone, preserving the quality of life that residents value. And it's like, it's in direct contradiction with that, with, you know, trying to prevent us from having trailers, RVs, running our businesses. My actual neighbors were up here speaking earlier, Barbara and Curtis Long, that, you know, they've been going on RV trips. I saw them since they got their first RV like 5 years ago. And it's been great to see them enjoying that part of their life. I used to live across the street at 116 Schreiber. I bought an RV when we lived at that house. We moved away for a little bit out of state, and then we came right back onto Schreiber Drive, you know, 2 houses over across the street, because of that quality of life, because we have a place to have our RV. I sold it like 2 years ago, so, you know, it doesn't apply to me right now, but neighbors on both sides, and it's just, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's something that we need. It's definitely taking away from the value and character, and, you know, I'm sure I can walk up and down the street and everyone would have the same opinion in Haslet Park. It's not something that's necessary there. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kutchuk. Our next speaker.
Daryl Shelton.
Mr. Shelton.
Mayor, Council, my name's Daryl Shelton. I live at 1498 First Place, Brentwood Park. We first built our house here in 1983. Much different Haslet. We invested our time, money, years of our life, tax dollars supporting this city. 43 years now. We moved here for a lifestyle versus Fort Worth. Mr. Clark, I say, when you know this, I want to live in Fort Worth, this ain't Haslet. I agree with you. We moved here for a lifestyle. I know things are changing. Traffic, we have people moving here that move here, they'd enjoy an HOA. They want their whatever rules for whatever reason. God bless you. I have no problem with you doing that. By God, don't come in here and tell me because y'all come in here, whoever's idea this is, that after all the investment of years and now at my age, that I'm going to have to be the expense to create a concrete driveway or whatever, jump through whatever hoops, whoever you give the power to come, because we've done been through it in Brentwood. You've sent people in here with a proactive code enforcement, not a reactive, very aggressive nature, where my neighbors have even been written up for chickens on the loose. True story. True story. I've seen sheriffs down the road on somebody that had the forever ending garage sale or whatever you want to call it in their yard. That was, to me, that's their property. It don't hurt me. Mr. Franks lives in my neighborhood and has been a backbone of this city for decades. He makes a living. His livelihood is on that. I've heard some people here their livelihood's at stake. I have an RV. I don't know where it jumps in y'all's little hoops that it's got to jump through that. I've got some other trailers. I'm not in a position in life on a fixed income to be able to afford to do all this stuff, to meet the standards of the powers that be that decide to put them on us. This young lady said something about quality of life. What about our quality of life? What about the standard that we moved to this city and supported this city for decades for? Who's the new city administrator? In the words of Bruce Willis, welcome to the party, pal. And that's the way I feel about it. I mean, Mr. Mayor, I've supported you in the past. I don't know all the particulars. I really wish we could have a town hall, because I know y'all can't answer questions here for whatever reason. We need an open forum of what are the pros of what short bridge or little bridge or big bridge, big beautiful bridge. I mean, I've also heard people get on the point and poke things at the mayor about road humps on Blue Mountain Road. But I also see that I've seen people going 75 miles an hour trying to beat that light that could cause a horrific car wreck. And I understand those. Whatever the cost was, that's debatable. Whatever between all y'all. But right now, the citizens back here and me, we are the rope of the tug of war that's going on here about all this situation. Whether I agree with everything each one of y'all have to offer or not, that's debatable. I'm sure we got plenty of common ground. I do agree. These roads need to be expanded, and there needs to be expedient. And again, instead of worrying about whether I got an RV or I've got a utility trailer that's 3 inches over your limit, or a new YMCA. I mean, what, we gonna get the village people out here next or what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do we need here? This is a city of 5,000 freaking people that just went over it. This city has repeatedly, every time they come in Brentwood, y'all come in, the previous regime, I think one person was still on the council then, under Mayor Golden, come in with the brilliant idea of putting concrete roads in our area, in our neighborhood, without any rebar. Who signed off on that? Who signed off on that? Yeah, I mean, what is somebody smoking? I agree. What is somebody smoking? Not only that, y'all come in here with vibratory rollers within feet of our homes, cause damage to my home, other people in my home, did it while my mom was on hospice care. She died within 6 months from a heart attack from the stress. Can't say that it was exactly that, but that's the way it went down. Every time the city comes into our neighborhood, it's bad news. Every time we see a code enforcement come in, you think we ain't all calling each other? You think our stomachs ain't turning? You think we ain't bitter? And you know what? The buck stops with y'all. I don't know whose idea it is to have this proactive approach with code enforcement instead of reactive to real issues that, because I can tell you, Brentwood, we may have a few issues through the years, different little things, but things pretty much work out. We're one way in, one way out. I mean, as far as HOA, whoever's coming in on the HOA, they come across the street because we got a very safe little circle you can walk on. And if they're calling up and snitching on us because they don't like something away, well, you know what? Guess what? You better be careful because there's some pit bulls that get loose every once in a while. You better look out. So, I mean, you know, I'm just saying, I am vehemently against this. I mean, and shouts out to Michael Tedford. I've been in his ear a little bit, and he said voices an opinion, possible amendments. But truthfully, this city council needs to shelf this, put this down, and if you want to talk to somebody, talk to the citizens instead of just y'all six. I'm hopefully you're a guy that will listen to the citizens. I have hope for that. Because the previous city administrator, when our house was damaged, Mayor Golden said, well, Mr. City Manager, we're going to give him the name of the construction company that did the damage to your property. It took me a week to chase that man around to get even that. And then the city, this stupid construction company come out, they didn't do nothing. We had Channel 11 out. They did a report on it. My mom was sitting there in a very frail thing talking to him. And then the lady around the road, she ended up dying from cancer. Her house was demolished, just totally all kinds of damages. This city did nothing to help us, ever. Even when we spoke here, not an apology one from anybody on the council, the mayor, or anybody. I sat here and saw the smirks on their face. That's what this city has done. And it's pitiful because we moved here. I enjoyed Haslet. Like I was telling them gentlemen right there, back there before. Right now, we need a billboard at 287 for people heading north on 156. Don't be stupid. Look at the traffic. Go to a council meeting. Look at the struggle of power that's going on here. You guys, I think y'all somehow could find common ground. Somehow it's got to happen. I pray it does. Listen to the citizens. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what else to say, but I mean, I'm totally against this. Prioritize doing something about the roads. Figure out the bridges. I don't live on the other side of tracks, thank God. I don't even try to come up in Haslet anymore because of the traffic. I'll go to town. It's easier for me to go get groceries on the way back home than it is to go through all this crap. I don't even come up here to the pizza joints half the time, unless it's on a Saturday late. And I know it's hurting them for my business and other people's business. I don't know what all this is going to do to their businesses of the people that have been faithfully in business here serving these people. And no wonder all we have is, what, 2 pizza joints and I don't know if the sushi joints are even here. I never went there. I don't know. But I mean, what's left? We don't have nothing here to service. But there's nowhere on 156 to put anything. And as far as, Mr. Mayor, you promised us, well, I say promised, back in the church when you had the meeting about the 156 expansion, I agreed with you about the 2 lanes highway. I don't want a 3-lane highway. I don't want a divider because the way they had it, I'd have had to take a right-hand turn because they'd be blocking me to taking a left out of Brentwood. I had to go down and take a U-turn. You know what kind of accidents that's going to create to have a median there? And all down 156, all the way from Bonds Ranch up until you get to, I guess, Joe's Pizza or wherever. It's residential. It's neighborhoods. It's people coming out of their driveways. How many red lights you going to put down 156 on top of all that? I mean, there's got to be. I mean, I know it's a very, very confusing situation with hard answers, but something's got to be done. But you, Mr. Mayor, I know you said there was a way, something to do with Haslet Parkway, that once whatever did we get this done, and we could ban trucks. But there shouldn't be a truck coming on Bonds Ranch coming towards Haslet until you get to maybe Westport or something. The roads, Bonds Ranch, Blue Mountain Road, there's even some of them that got up no trucks. Sheriff don't enforce it. How many times do I see trucks turning and people having to back up if they ain't got nobody behind them, let the trucks off of roads they ain't even supposed to be on. Nobody's doing nothing about it. And then you want to tell me I can't have an RV in my yard when you ain't even enforcing the no trucks on these roads? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all. Anyway, I know I've taken your time. I do want an answer. What can be done about banning the trucks? If the mayor was right, if there's a lever you can pull, if there's something you can do, because here's what I want to say about 156. I don't care if you put 3 lanes. If you let them trucks, you put 2 or 3 lanes, it's going to be a bigger invitation for these trucks to come, and we've all been on the road. What do trucks do? They ride side by side, going the same speed. One's passing each other 1/3 of a mile over the other one. And it ain't, what's it going to do? You're going to give 2 lanes that are stacked up. What's it going to do? And then you're going to have a turning lane in the middle, and people are going to decide to start passing them, and then you're going to start having wrecks. So, I mean, there needs to be consideration of a truck ban on these roads, if it can be done. We need to get it, Blue Mound, Avondale-Haslet, whatever, where trucks shouldn't be. Deliveries that need to be done to the stores and stuff and Haslet can be done in bobtail trucks, not 18-wheelers. There's a way. The traffic you will reduce if you take the trucks off these roads will I mean, all it takes is one truck at a red light You get stuck behind, and then 2 or 3 cars get through a red light. There you go. Well, how many thousands of trucks are going down through here a day? It's ridiculous. Anyway, I know I've gone over my time. God bless everybody. I appreciate all y'all for listening to me. Vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Our next speaker,
Mike Walling.
Mr. Walling.
Okay, obviously, I'm against this, but I don't need to say anything because that gentleman answered it all.
Thank you, Mr. Walling. Do we have another speaker?
That was the last in person, but we do have people who wrote in. One was here, but he was unable to stay, but I have his comments as well
All
to
right.
read.
First, let me ask, is there anybody online?
No one online wishing to speak.
Very good. If you could go ahead with the reading.
Yes. The first, again, he was here, but he had to leave. It's Gordon Dutton at 136 Odessa Drive. He said, I respectfully submit this response regarding the proposed amendments to Chapter 12, Article 12.06, including the addition of Division 5 regulating the parking of certain vehicles on residential properties. While I support reasonable regulations that address legitimate public safety concerns, the proposed amendments raise significant legal and policy concerns relating to property rights, statutory authority, due process, and proportionality under Texas law. Property rights and constitutional considerations. Under Article 1, Section 17 of the Texas Constitution, private property may not be taken, damaged, or applied to public use without adequate compensation. While municipalities possess police power authority to regulate for public health and safety, such regulations must be reasonable, necessary, and substantially related to a legitimate governmental interest. Restrictions that function primarily as aesthetic controls, particularly in non-HOA neighborhoods, risk exceeding reasonable municipal regulation when no demonstrable safety hazards exist. Texas courts have consistently held that municipal ordinances must not be arbitrary or unduly oppressive in their application. Statutory authority and proportionality. Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 51, grants general ordinance authority. However, municipal regulations must be narrowly tailored and clearly defined. Broad or vague terms such as certain vehicles or visibly based restrictions may raise enforcement concerns and due process implications under the 14th Amendment. Additionally, many residents rely on work vehicles, RVs, trailers, or commercial vehicles as tools of livelihood. Regulations that significantly interfere with their use and storage may create disproportionate economic impact without clear public safety justification. Policy and community impact. Haslet has historically provided flexibility for homeowners outside HOA-controlled communities. Imposing HOA-style restrictions through municipal ordinance could materially alter neighborhood expectations and property values without voter approval or demonstrated necessity. Before adoption, I respectfully request that the council clearly define all restricted vehicle categories, provide objective, measurable enforcement standards, demonstrate specific public safety findings supporting the change, consider grandfathering provisions for existing homeowners, conduct an economic and community impact assessment. Balanced governance requires protecting both community standards and fundamental property rights. I urge the council to carefully evaluate whether this proposal is necessary, narrowly tailored, and legally defensible. The next one is from Kim and David Thacker at 200 Odessa Drive. Regarding the proposed changes and additions to Chapter 12, we are opposed to any such changes and additions. We purchased our property because of the rural look, feel, and charm of the neighborhood. It's what makes Haslet home to us. It reminds me of the small town I grew up in, rural North Dakota. We didn't want to live in an HOA or in an area with HOA-type restrictions. We were not looking for city living. We don't need a big city restrictions in our Haslet neighborhoods. As a resident of Haslet Park, I don't see any issues with how or what is being parked on our properties. There are much bigger issues that need to be addressed, like streets so bad residents stumble and fall, rather than worry about what's being parked on our lots. We are not big city or an HOA and don't want to be. And then asking to be read during the council meeting. Next is Lisa McLeod, 313 Schreiber Drive. This proposed ordinance is aimed at the 3 older subdivisions that do not have HOAs and have lots that are a minimum of 1 acre, Hugh White, Brentwood, and Haslet Park. We do not need this ordinance. We are not Fort Worth or Southlake or even Keller. Haslet City proper is a small town. These subdivisions do not have the Cracker Jack-sized lots that the newer subdivisions do. These subdivisions have long driveways, unlike the newer subdivisions where you can barely, if even possible, park 2 cars back to back without blocking the sidewalk. And the distance between driveways is much more than the newer subdivisions if discussing the parking provisions of this proposed ordinance. The city attorney needs to remember that this is the small city of Haslet and not Fort Worth. We may be surrounded by Fort Worth, but we are not Fort Worth. Just because we do not have HOAs, this ordinance seeks to regulate us like an HOA. This is ridiculous. We choose these subdivisions for that reason. No HOA. Leave us alone. Is this just another method to make money by fining citizens? I think the code enforcer would have a better use of their time. Let's also talk about the fence requirement, a 6-foot screened fence, which shall be sufficient to obscure the view by persons on adjacent properties. 6-foot fence. These recreational vehicles, large or oversized, are taller than 6 feet, so they will still be seen no matter what. All of these lots in these 3 subdivisions, save the limited number facing FM 156, are not seen from 156, and even those limited few that have driveways off of 156 have extremely long driveways leading far from 156. Let's concentrate on roads, on parks, on stopping the speeding vehicles, on the cars and trucks running the red lights, and on enforcing the truck ban on Blue Mound Road East. Next is Cindy Laird at 219 Main Street. I'm in complete opposition to the new ordinance prohibiting homeowners to park their RVs, trailers, and ATV vehicles next to their homes and on their property. They keep their RVs, trailers, and ATVs close so they can use them regularly, maintain them, and keep them safe. They are costly investments and shouldn't be kept off-site, creating unnecessary costs to the owners. And lastly, Sarah Nembu.
Okay. I thought I was going to have to leave. I just have one sentence, and I'll just read it off when I type that on behalf of myself. My name is Sarah Nembu. I live at 2115 FM 156 in Haslet. Proper, just if anyone's questioning that. I am in opposition of the amendments proposed in Agenda Item 8E. Haslet is a city based on multi-acre lots. And these large lot homes provide convenience and comfort for those wishing to have cattle, equine, and often the required supporting vehicles to move them up. Just basically what everyone else has already said. Large lots provide space and opportunity to store recreational vehicles. It is a draw to this community. So I'm in my 10th year as a Haslet resident. It's one of the reasons I came here, and I'd like to stay, and I'd hate for that to be the reason that I leave. This should not be. This new ordinance that's been proposed should not be an imposition to the long-term Haslet residents. I feel like a baby of 10 years after I hear people that have put in 40 years to this city. So I just wanted to speak for myself since I was still here, and I also oppose the amendments.
Thank you, Ms. Nimbu. Do we have any other speakers? Any other write-ins? Anybody online?
No one online.
Yes, sir. Please come up, state your name.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, my name is Keith Kittle. I live at 217 Odessa Drive. I mean, that's why we moved out here. Camper, trailers, you know. We don't want to store them somewhere else, so I'm against it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, there are no other speakers in the chambers, none online, just confirming. We have no more write-ins. All right, very good. I close the public hearing at 9:39 p.m. All right, council, it's to you. This should be a pretty easy decision.
It's Mayor Halsey. So this was brought up by a few citizens, and it was one of my questions as well. What prompted this concern? Were there complaints made?
There were, as Ms. Smith.
I have had complaints.
Were these anonymous complaints, or were they complaints that were filed? Because a lot of people, and I looked myself and didn't see anything.
Yes, they were anonymous.
They were
complaints,
anonymous, so we don't
yes.
know if they were even.
Had complaints from Ashmore Farms, Caraway, Haslet Park. There was one other one, but anyway,
Okay, so
there
that
have
was
been-
that was my question, what prompted the concern? And then I guess the other one was brought up as well with the continuance permit. What would the time frame be on that? And what if I sold my house, and then is that going to be a cost burden to the new owners that come in and have to then, live up to the standard or the ordinance that's been set? So can you explain a little bit about the continuance permit?
That's something that would have to be.
Mr. Page,
Go.
Mr. Page assisted in writing this.
Okay.
What would be a continuance and what period of time was that envisioned?
So actually, that part I believe came from Ms. Smith. So if you have anything to add to that.
It would just have to be something considered. I mean, if y'all had a suggestion or if there was something.
As to the period of time of the continuance?
Yes.
Okay, and then my last question, it was also brought up, but why, in the past, ordinances have gone to P and Z, so is there a reason it didn't go to our Planning and Zoning Commission first, or was workshopped prior to coming to us at council?
Because I was told it didn't need to, because it didn't have anything to do with planning and development.
Yeah, so only ordinances that amend the zoning code
would go
to
to
P
them.
and Z first. And so this is an amendment of just our normal nuisances and violations, that chapter. So it doesn't have to do with zoning, so that's why P and Z wouldn't consider it. To your question about the continuation, any sort of allowance for the existing property owners as of the date of this ordinance being adopted, there would be no grandfathering in beyond whatever is in this. So a future property owner, beyond whatever the allowance in this ordinance would have to comply with
Moving
whatever
forward.
standards are in there. So that is kind of an important point, that there really would be very limited, if any, grandfathering for individuals to continue to allow their RV or other large oversized commercial vehicles to be parked on their property without complying with this ordinance.
Thank you, those were my questions.
Ms. Smith?
I talked to Mr. Decker today, if you decide to trade in the mobile home or whatever you have today, and you decide to upgrade, that continuance is over. Your quality of life that you invested in this property is gone. And what's the condition of continuance?
Sorry, Ms. Smith.
Yes.
You and I touched base just very briefly the other day, and one thing that you said that struck me was that one of the things in this would be for it to have more enforceability, because right now the HOAs don't have the enforceability that they need. Is that correct?
Correct.
But to me, it seems like the rub is trying to use a blanket policy for a lot of different situations. So is there a way we can tailor this to meet that need so that you have the enforceability that you need, but not interrupt the ways that some of these other neighborhoods are functioning as they are?
Let me interject here. We can't, and you correct me if I'm wrong, we can't go through different parts of town and write an ordinance for that part. Unlike HOAs, they can have their stricter or less strict regulations per subdivision. Writing a city ordinance, as Mr. Ritchie so eloquently cited, you can't write an ordinance that fits everybody. Now, I would like to say at this time is that all department heads, every department is encouraged as they work through these ordinances and use them, because I've heard for many times, well, this ordinance is out of date, this needs to change. And I said, okay, as you work through these ordinances and you see things that could possibly be improved or that you think needs to happen, then draft it up, and then it goes through a review committee. That ordinance does to get other departments' input on it, and then it finally makes it here. And I think how many we got on our list to do?
13.
So we have 13 behind this that you'll get at a time. And believe me, it'll be a like discussion. It's a difficult thing to do, but that's your job, is to hear this and consider the ordinance, reject it, accept it, modify it.
But is there not a way that we can help the HOAs have enforceability without having to implement this?
Well, there's several aspects.
Yeah, we're not allowed to enforce CCNRs from an HOA. HOA has to enforce their own regulations. We can't do that for them.
Okay.
Well, I don't know that I don't know if, let me, are you asking, we do not enforce any HOA regulation, period. What is enforced, whether it say be something such as the parking type issues being at least 18 inches to the curb and those type, don't block the sidewalks. All of that's derived out of the transportation code. Those are existing. But as it exists right now, the only one that could enforce that is our sheriff deputies.
HOAs can't enforce anything on the street, nothing.
Yeah,
They can't.
They don't force it.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to get at is, you're bringing this forward for a reason. It's not, I don't think, to completely change the way all the speakers, I agree with all of them. They have lived that way for all this time. They don't need all the changes, everything else. But there's a reason that you're bringing this forward. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that we can not enforce it there. But I mean, clearly we can't. So is there something? I don't know. I'm spitballing
question,
it.
Mr.
We need
Pitt.
a workshop, like as the gentleman said.
Kind of tying to it, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off or interrupt you, but kind of tying to what you said in aspect of truly trying to get to the root of a solution. If there's a problem presented, where I agree with the people that spoke and the property size they have. Yes, you cannot make an ordinance fit all the holes, but is it not even possible to put some kind of square footage kicker of any lot over an acre is not susceptible to this ordinance, but anything less than that, so that way it could give you the teeth you need to enforce the HOAs and support the neighborhoods that actually could be a benefit from this ordinance, where not, disrupting the citizens that have lived here for the length they've lived here. And if I had 5+ acre or an acre or anything plus, I would want to park anything on that thing I wanted to. So I agree with them completely on that standpoint. But I feel your frustration of a lack of ability of enforcing things that the city has expectations to get done. So considering that you can't make an ordinance fit for everything, is there no way to put any kind of size, square footage to a lot size that would alleviate them from this ordinance?
Yes, we can do that.
So can that be done?
That's what we need.
But I wouldn't say we can do that tonight. What I would do, if you were wanting this to only apply to a higher density residential property, currently it applies to any, we define residential property to include ag, R1, R2, RM, manufactured home, any residential zoning district. And so if you were wanting this to just be limited to a specific size lot or anything like that, we could bring that back at a later date to reflect that.
Because that sounds like that's our magic bullet that makes the larger lot homes happy, and it seems like it can make our city staff have a little bit more ability to do their job as well. Because at the end of the day, we want what's best for the city and the citizens. We don't have one without the other. So if that can be done, maybe revamp that, bring that back before council and post it to the public so everybody can review for themselves, and let the people have their voice. If they get the revised version of it that shows the exclusion for the bigger lots and gives them their grandfathered leniency that they want to keep, and I agree that they should keep, and bring it back before the council and bring it back before the citizens and see what we can actually come to bear with.
So along these lines, several things, actually. First off, we touched on it just there. We need we got 13, 14, 15 more ordinance going to come at us. Okay. Don't throw an ordinance together and then bring it to the council so we sit here and debate this. We have an attorney on staff. These sort of things should be run past him to ask questions with them. Get a lot of these things ironed out with staff before it comes to council. So we're going to kick this thing back, the way I'm seeing it and the way the residents are talking. Now, second thing, Mr. Ashton, we need to look at these procedures that we have in place. We need to do away with this anonymous complaint crap. We need to write that thing out. If people got a complaint, we need to go back to where people know people. The first course of action is walk across and talk to your neighbor and say, Joe, Fred, I don't like this. Would you mind doing something? Now get back where people talk to people. People hide behind keyboards now and send stuff in and say, well, they're not going to find out who I am, so blast away. We need to stop that. So put a note on that piece. All right, Ms. Smith, first of all, and this is my request. I sent a request in. It took me 2 times. And this, for future ordinance reference, if we're going to have an ordinance on the council meeting agenda, we have to have the red line ordinance presented to us in the packet. This sending out a complete ordinance like it was written, that makes it very difficult for anybody to figure out what was added, what was deleted. So two requests, and I finally got the red line. Thank you, Mr. Page, appreciate that. And in that, the reference was, we're taking this from the city of Fort Worth. We learned this in city of Fort Worth. We're not the city of Fort Worth. We are the city of Haslet. And everybody on staff needs to understand that. We are unique. We're not the city. We don't rubber stamp anything like the city of Fort Worth does. Take the time and get to understand this community. We had the speaker, Ms. Smith. Love her, hate her, she's a valued member of the community. So is every other one of these individuals. And Old Town is as unique as Brentwood is, as Haslet Park, as Hugh White. They're very unique pieces. We're not just a rubber stamp community here. Understand that. And the rest of the staff, when you're looking at your ordinances, take this into account. Because Ms. Smith, as you pointed out, preserve community and quality of life. Brentwood's got chickens running around the road. God help them, they run around mine, I'd go catch the eggs. I had chickens at my house. Till the coyotes ate them, but we're in the country, stuff happens. I'm not going to put a fence out to block everything out. Not going to do it. But we got to understand what's unique about our neighborhoods. And you can't compare my neighborhood, Haslet Park. Yes, I'm in Haslet Park. I admit it. Okay? I am not the same as Caraway. I'm not the same as the Meadows. So we need to understand that when we're looking at these ordinances. And not just this one. You are the guinea pig. You came up. But you're not the first guinea pig. Mr. Williams is in the audience. And years ago, it's been mentioned already, we had the exact same issue when we were looking at outbuildings for homes. And there's not a one-size-fits-all. The people in Hugh White, some of them, they need horse barns. They may be, I don't know, 50, 70,000 square feet. Not going to fit on my lot. But, 20 by 30, 30 by 40 building would. That ain't going to fit in Ashmore Farms. We need to understand the dynamics we got to play. And it's not going to, one of those is not going to fit in Old Town by any means. So we need to understand our characters. That's why people move. I know the people in our neighborhood, Haslet Park, we moved there for a reason. One of the top reasons is there is no HOA. And that gives us some flexibility of what we can and cannot do in that neighborhood. And that's why when houses go up for sale, they sell pretty dang quick. Because you can't find a home within 10 square miles that doesn't have HOA anymore. So that's what Old Town, Hazlet Park, Brentwood, Hugh White. That's what makes those neighborhoods so unique for us. We need to understand that, not just you, but all staff members. A lot of these staff members know. They grew up here. They're all well aware of how this town operates. And we're going to stick with that. Like I said, we don't have much country left, but we want to keep what we can. So let's keep that in mind.
And Councilman Doug, sorry.
Hang on. All right, we got that, got
I
Sandra.
apologize.
I'm not totally opposed to the whole thing. I'm looking at 12.6.105. A lot of these, on-road issues. That's the sort of thing, yeah, look at that. Yeah, we don't want people parking on sidewalks or things like that. So those are the things, yeah, let's look at that stuff. But let's not look at, hey, if you're gonna park a 26-foot trailer back here, where you're gonna put a fence around it and block it in, or you're just not gonna have it at all. So let's look at the things that make sense. Your on-roadway, don't park it going the wrong direction type thing. Get those things, let's start small steps to get those in works. But we really got to understand what this town's made of. And everybody in here that spoke all had the same plan. Look at their neighborhoods. So that's what I'd ask you to do when you're going back and you're reviewing these ordinances. Thank you.
Doug, I appreciate everything you're saying. I think everyone who spoke here completely agrees. I think we all agree that it shouldn't be, but I'm literally getting messages while I'm sitting here of, here's an RV parked in one of our HOA that they can't get moved. So I get it. I get it. So I think what James said is the kicker. Let's table this right tonight, have it go back to staff, have them come back with half-acre lot or acre lot or whatever we want to designate. So that way, we can't do it tonight. We're not allowed to.
Yeah, we're
tabling it so they can come back with it.
Instead of tabling, yes, I say that it gets, I think it should be scratched and they should go back and it should be fixed and done correctly. So just disapprove this.
That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is there's a reason it was brought forward, but I don't want to change anything for y'all because y'all have your houses and lots the way they are and they need to stay that way. But there is some reason it came forward because there are problems
I would like to have
that
the
we
reasons.
need to address. So
I would like to have the reasons, like if there were, you said Ashmore Farms, Caraway, and anonymous complaints, which I agree. Who knows what they're in Oklahoma calling in? I have no idea. So I would like to see the complaints and see how many there are. Is it 5? Is it 100? I mean, what prompted?
Well, keep in mind, I will say this, if I get a complaint and I go to an address and there's nothing there, there's nothing for me to address.
So nothing gets logged, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So how many of the complaints that you followed up?
That was closed.
Okay, so how many of the complaints that you followed up with actually were in violation of?
Every one of them.
And how many were there?
At least 5.
So, okay, thank you.
I'm going to there's a number of folks out there that are raising their hands. We've already had the public hearing. Please understand that. But here's what I suggest to the council is to someone make a motion to table this, the staff take it back, and listening to all the input, and working with Mr. Swanky and Mr. Page is to work on this and apply that lot size standard and then bring it back, and that may address a lot of issues. Could you, if you would entertain that, I would ask someone to make that motion.
Let me ask Mr. Page.
And the tabling aspect, let me say that, is not put a particular time limit on it. Is let staff have time to work on it.
I think if you say certain lot size need to be at least an acre, because half-acre lots is Ashmore Farms and some of these other ones over there, and we're running the same problem that Chris is running into right now, where he's got people messaging him when they're on half-acre lots and they got an RV. And I think there are a lot of people out here in Haslet Park and some of these other neighborhoods, they're on acre plus. And I think it should be an acre plus at least. I half-acre lots is what some of these, the meadow and some of those are all half-acre.
Yeah, just
And it's, you know. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, let's not solve the,
but to give staffs and others some direction, so
let me ask
if you're
Mr.
looking
Page.
at, with regard to, one thing that I hear is the on-street parking type issues, there's no issue with that.
No, but I think we had one resident,
Not in our neighborhood, no.
Parking, no, I'm talking about the council
yeah,
here.
no, but we had, you
That's
know, like,
I'm asking, I don't need to see pictures, please.
yeah, I
It's
think
just-
for the most part, I think one resident had a comment about, hey, is there anything, you know, parking so close to a corner? Should that be included in these type of things? I mean, is there anything, I don't know the transportation code.
Yeah,
There's one in there for intersection.
It's in the.
Is it?
Yeah, so those are all
Okay.
just from the state law, transportation code. And again, so that would allow our local code officers to enforce those state
Okay, I know
laws.
Ms. Snedeker asked about, you know, hey, is there anything in there? So that's good.
Page 3 of 8.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Please go ahead.
I make a
Okay.
motion to disapprove ordinance
Okay, good.
XXX 2026 to amend Chapter 12, Division 2 by adding subsection 12.06104, parking or standing close to curb in the direction of traffic, and subsection 12.06.105, stopping, standing, and parking in certain places, and adding Division 5, parking of certain vehicles on residential properties.
Motion is made to deny the proposed ordinance. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I'll second.
There's a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just real quick, just clarification from Mr. Page. Okay, if, I don't know the way to process. So what's the definition, if we table it or if we deny it? And either way, I mean, they can still go back and work on it and bring it back to us. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So either way, they still have the opportunity to come back and.
Well, and if you think
I
about
just
it,
wanna-
if we table it, we'll have to untable it, so it adds an extra step. Whereas if we just straight deny it tonight, then they can come back with a fresh one with the stipulations that we have expressed our interest in tonight.
Okay, I just wanted clarification so everybody's aware of what we're doing here. Thank you.
All right, so there's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, council. All right, let's go to ordinance, or 8B. Discuss, consider, and act on contract between Tarrant County Emergency Service District Number 1 and the City of Haslet for emergency services from October 1, 2025 through September 30, 2026. I would ask that you carry your conversations outside, please. If you would carry your conversations outside, please. And continuing reading that from October 1, 2025 through September 30, 2026, and authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Chief.
Mayor, council, this is our contract we do every year with the Tarrant County Emergency Service District. This is the unincorporated area that we cover for them. And in return of covering that area for them, they allow us use of a 2,000-gallon tanker and a 400-gallon brush truck that we house and staff at our fire apparatus. Plus, they're going to pay us the $281,000 to cover it for this fiscal year. As they grow their fire department, this may change in coming years, just giving y'all a heads up, but this is this year's contract.
Council, do you have any questions of the chief?
I have one question. Why does it go back to October?
So as they changed regimes, we've been working in good faith since
Okay.
October 1.
Okay.
And so now we're correcting the contract.
So this only goes to September 30th of this year. We'll have to come back and do it again then?
They'll have a new contract ready for the next fiscal year.
Okay.
It coincides with our fiscal year.
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know why we were backdating it here. So just curious. Thank you.
I mean, why didn't we talk about this in October, November? I think
He just
that's-
said.
The ESD did not have a contract ready for us back then. We just continued to work in good faith. They gave us the first payment back then.
Okay.
All right, council, it's to you. Discuss, consider, and act.
I just had a question. That's a lot of money, $281,000. They give us that money just to store their equipment? Is that what you?
Yeah, they give us money, we cover their area for emergency services.
Okay. What do we do? What does that money go towards? That
It goes into the general fund.
just fund?
so
Oh, just general fund of it.
I have no claim to that money.
Oh, okay.
General fund.
Gotcha.
It is, we utilize that money to help pay for the firefighters because they do go out into the county, and the emergency service district covers the county.
But if at some point they build a fire station, then they would cease to pay us because they would cover it themselves.
This will curtail over the years.
Yeah, okay.
And yes, you're absolutely right. And that is their new objective. I probably started a year or two ago, but they're getting off the ground now, and is to build their own fire departments and hire their own personnel instead of utilizing various cities to provide that response. But as that goes on, yes, this remuneration that we're getting here, this 280-some-odd thousand, that will go down. As well our response time. And we monitor that response.
Yes. So as we run less calls, they won't give us as.
This money does stay within the fire department?
Money goes.
It goes in the general fund.
I didn't know if it was, I
utilized.
didn't know if it was the general fund for the city or the general fund for the fire department, because
No, the general fund is for the city as a whole.
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor Holsey, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a contract between Tarrant County Emergency Services District Number 1 and the City of Haslet for emergency services from October 1, 2025 through September 30, 2026, and authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
Motion is made to approve the proposed Tarrant County Emergency Service District between Number 1 and the City of Haslet for emergency services. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 8C, discuss, consider, and act on an agreement between the City of Fort Worth and the City of Haslet for ambulance and medical director services and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. This is for our ambulance service.
Yes.
That we started here last year, but this is new agreement.
Yes.
Please.
So this is the agreement between Fort Worth and the City of Haslet for the ambulance service and the medical direction that allows us to provide medical care, along with the business agreement saying that we can do business with the City of Fort Worth. Last year, Fort Worth was in a rush. We had a deadline. They had to get things in order so that we could get the businesses and the ambulance service up and running with no hindrance to the citizens. This is the agreement that goes into further detail on more of the operations of it. And the chiefs in Fort Worth all work together to get this details worked out.
So there's no financial impact on this item?
There's no new financial
No
impact
new,
on it.
okay.
So the same contract that you currently have. This is not addressing the payments towards them. It's just how we operate in the field.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor Holsey, I'd like to make a motion.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an agreement between the City of Fort Worth and the City of Haslet for ambulance and medical director services and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Motion is made to approve the agreement between the City of Fort Worth and the City of Haslet for the medical or the ambulance and medical director services. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. 8D.
And one more.
Discuss, consider, and act to approve Resolution XXX 2026 adopting a 2025 Tarrant County Hazard Mitigation Action Plan. Chief.
So this is the Tarrant County Hazardous Mitigation Action Plan Annex. So the FEMA has said that we have to have a hazard mitigation plan. So we need to find target hazards that could be a problem due to natural disasters, floods, tornadoes. We need to identify them for possible resolution later. We currently use the Tarrant County plan, and this is just the annex of Haslet. This is our specific section in the Tarrant County plan that we're going. So that plan is all about Haslet, and it's FEMA driven, saying we have to have this plan. And so instead of creating our own, we tag off of Tarrant County.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I just want to say it was very interesting reading. I thought it was with the floods and the thunderstorms and all the different disasters that could happen. But I did have some questions. I know, like on the community profile on page 6, is that's not current? Is that what they have sent to y'all, or population, or is that, I mean, or is this all accurate?
This, everything in here, so our emergency management coordinator, Garrett Kent, put this together for me. Everything in here was the information he could gather.
He gathered.
Update our previous plans.
Okay, so it might not be exactly
It may not be
the
exactly,
numbers to the, okay. And also, that was my question. And also on page 7, I know it talked about the critical and vulnerable assets in the city of Haslet. And I just was curious how those 3 were chosen, and if we could add, or it's necessary, maybe not at all, to add like Worthington Middle School, City Hall. And I don't know about the Legacy Learning Center since that's NISD, but are these just the 3 that are the highest vulnerable assets, or how? I know you put it together for it. I know, I'm sorry. I'm asking questions you might not have the answers to. I apologize.
Those are probably the 3 that were on our previous plan, and we can definitely update them to reflect other.
I would just say definitely Worthington Middle School, and I would assume City Hall is pretty
So,
an
Chief,
asset.
is there a time limit this has to be put in? Are we time bound?
Tarrant County wants it as soon as possible, but if there are inaccuracies, I would gladly accept your.
I would ask that
I would
we
go
take
back.
that back and we'll visit with Mr. Kemp.
Because on page 6, it says we have 1,952 people in Haslet, and we're over
I see that right there.
5,000.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
I would ask that you would table this to the next meeting.
Yes,
If
please
we had the
do, and I'll
time
get
to
it
do that.
corrected.
And I had one other one. It mentioned specifically its city engineer, and I don't know if that needs to be updated to our contracted city engineer.
We can say our city engineer, whether it's an on-staff
Okay,
or contracted,
perfect.
it's our city engineer.
Got it. Yeah, those are just the 2 questions I had was page 6 and page 7.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to table this.
And table till when? Next meeting?
Is that enough time for some? Yes, sir, till next meeting.
Motion is made to table this item to the next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There is a second. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Thank you, council.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Chief.
Item 8F, discuss, consider, and act to adopt ordinance XXX-2026, ratifying a budget amendment for fiscal year 2025 to 2026. And Mr. Page, you wrote this. Are you doing this presentation?
I'd be happy to.
You can take that down for now. Hey, yeah, just pull the ordinance up, or do you have the ordinance?
All right. So at the last meeting, February 17th, after the council returned from executive session, the council unanimously approved a motion that had 3 parts to it. First one being appointing Joe Ashton to the office of city administrator. The second part was approving an employment agreement with Mr. Ashton to be effective February 18th. And then the third portion was to make a budget amendment. And I believe we had a placeholder amount in there that was just a temporary amount so that we could come back and adopt an ordinance to that. And so out of those three items, Mr. Ashton was sworn in this evening as city administrator. He began working on February 18th. The employment agreement was executed by all the relevant parties. And so the last item tonight is to adopt this ordinance. As we discussed, this does need to be done via ordinance. And so the language in there describes everything that's going to be done here. You have a page of the amounts. That was tabulated by our finance director, Ms. Lamb. And so the $141,018.16 is the amount from February 18th through the end of the fiscal year. And so while it doesn't reflect the full, for that reason, it does not reflect the full salary and benefits of a full year of the city administrator position. Instead, it's just from that February 18th till the end of this fiscal year. And then the last page that I provided to you is some sample language for a motion tonight. And so that would be to approve the ordinance as presented, as well as providing direction to Ms. Lamb or her designee to comply with the compensation obligations of that city administrator employment agreement, in case there is any confusion or concern in the meantime.
Jeremy.
Mr. Page, I had sent you an email. Please address that.
Can I ask for one clarification real quick? I just want to make sure, you said it's for the salary through the end of the fiscal year, which is what date?
It would be through September 30th.
Thank you.
And so, as I mentioned to the full council, if you all have any questions about legal advice on this, again, what I just provided is just kind of the factual background. I'd be happy to answer that in executive session. I just don't think it would be appropriate to provide legal advice from the dais in a public setting.
All right, I close the open session and to convene into executive session. If you'll join me in the boardroom council, we'll resume at that time. I call the open session back in session at 10:31. All the members of the council are present.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I would like to move to approve ordinance number XXX 2026, ratifying the amendment to the city's budget for the 2025-26 fiscal year, transferring funds from the city's reserve fund in the amount of $141,018.16 to provide funding for the position of the office of the city administrator and directing the finance director or her designee to fulfill the city's compensation obligations contained in the city administrator employment agreement approved on February 17th, 2026.
May I have that so I can repeat it? Will you hand that down here?
And I'll second that.
Motion is made to approve ordinance number XXX 2026, ratifying the amendment to the city's budget for 2025-2026 fiscal year, transferring funds from the city's reserve fund in the amount of $141,018.16 to provide funding for the position of the office of the city administrator and directing the finance director or her designee to fulfill the city's compensation obligations contained in the city administrator employment agreement approved on February 17, 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. All right, if we could go to item 8G, discuss, consider, and act on a recreation center type facility on, or a YMCA or recreation center type facility on the 70-plus acres that the city owns on Schoolhouse Road and the potential to perform an assessment. If you would bring that item up. Yes. Several years ago, in fact, it was in the fall of 2023, and prior to that, beginning in 2022, I had discussions started discussions with YMCA, Metropolitan Fort Worth, to exploring the opportunities, if there were, of building a YMCA here in Haslet, Texas. That went on, that conversation, for almost a year. And finally, we got to a point to that they needed to do an assessment of Haslet and this area if it would warrant or a YMCA, and could it be sustained? And is that the first slide? That's not the first slide. No, you can go back to that cover. This is performed by a company called Grow. They do all these assessments nationwide for the YMCA. And this was done very specifically for our area. If you can go to the next. And this is just their index of the of what's come to follow. Next slide. Next slide. You can go ahead and keep going. Okay, well here you can see there's the, actually 78 plus the 43 acres in addition to that. But that was the general area to be considered where the facility would be. Excuse me, let me finish the presentation, then I'll answer your questions, okay? The next slide. So YMCA early on proposed that they would split the cost of this assessment. YMCA will not consider these without these people's assessment. And I took it to the council, and YMCA proposed that they would pay 50% of the cost of this assessment, and the city pay 50%. The council agreed. So we engaged with them to do this, and they went through this assessment. And you have a copy of it here. Did you pass this out to everybody? So you do have a copy of it. All right, next slide. They look at various aspects, flooding zone. Next slide. They look at the population areas, demographics. Next. Here, this blue area, you see where the North Park YMCA is located. Next slide. This is a overlap area, the red circle that they identify. Next slide. They go through and just note, again, all in demographics driven. That's what this is all about. Next slide. They look at various aspects, the setting, size, and cost, and they're looking at primarily what they anticipate, would this be sustainable? Would this facility be sustainable? Next slide. They have different size facilities they look at. They would match a facility to accommodate the citizenry in this area. Next slide. And then they rate these different assessments. Opportunities to serve, projected market, goodwill, alternative funding, qualifications, etc. Next slide. Then they give it a B, C, D, E, F rating, and this is what they keyed off of. So this is analysis at that time was just over the positive side of, yes, we could pursue looking at a YMCA. Now, the building itself, that would all be borne by the city. YMCA does not build the buildings. And what they had proposed was they would split the salary cost of an individual if they would bring that individual out here full time and split the salary with the city, and that's one person's job would be to visit industries to solicit funds to build this facility. That's their program. If you build a facility, they staff it, but they're concerned about sustainability, the membership, to keep to pay the operating cost. If you desire, now in 2023, this study was $11,000. We can approach YMCA if you're interested in YMCA. In fact, we would go directly to these people, but I could approach YMCA if they wanted to cost share on another study on potentially building a YMCA in the city of Haslet. Or we would bear the full cost of that ourselves. I don't know that it would be $11,000. It might be a little bit more since it's been 3 years since then. So that's what I had to show you this evening. Do you have interested in doing a survey, or these people coming in doing a survey to determine, and this is specific to a YMCA.
Mr. Mayor, I think I mentioned this last time at our last meeting that I was not saying we had to have YMCA. I just heard about that at the last meeting, that was potential a couple of years ago. First time I ever heard about a YMCA maybe coming to Haslet. But I think that it would be good for us to look at other cities around here that have rec centers, Keller, Roanoke. I've been to Roanoke a couple of times. It's not that big a footprint, and they have a lot of amenities in there. And I think it would be good for us to look at other cities around here that have rec centers and see how much it costs. I know they weren't built a few years ago, but just get an idea how much it costs, how big it is. Ask them, hey, what's y'all's budget, all those questions, and come back and see if that's something we would like to do. I'm not saying we have to go with the YMCA. I'd rather us put in something here so that way we could get the money, and there'd be a fund, or not a fund, but a charge for Haslet resident, and there'd be a charge for a non-Haslet resident. But I think that would be something that we would get money for. I know that these rec centers don't make hardly any money. They're pretty much even, but that money could go back towards the city and not, I'd rather us staff it and us do that than YMCA. So I think it'd be good for our staff to reach out to other cities and get more information and come back to us about that.
So that would be at a city-run rec center.
City-run rec center, and
not YMCA.
Not YMCA, no,
All right.
sir.
All right. Well, very good. We can do that. And
Go ahead. I was just going to mention that in our 2020, the strategic plan, we had talked about optional long-term projects, and a rec center was on there. And also to refer back to the Parks Board, I think a rec center was number 3 on the most requested item. But new construction, and this was in 2020, so this is old, was $11,605,000 was kind of the estimate. And then equipment and fixtures was about $1 million, and then the personnel was about $180,000. So I'm sure all of that would be a lot more now. What some of the options looked at for the funding source at that time was a general obligation bond. So I know that's something we still are thinking about. I also know the senior citizens would love to have a place that's bigger and able for them to, get crazy at their card games. But so I know that's something that I personally have heard from the seniors, that space would be great to have a room for some sort of gathering. And then also like the conference rooms where we could rent those out and have people come and make some money off of that. But anyway, I'm all for a rec center. I think it's something that the citizens have wanted for a long time, and that footprint does work pretty well for that.
I know people probably middle-aged probably work there, but there's a lot of kids that are probably 16 or probably in high school that are of age that could go work there for minimum wage at a rec center, and they'd be perfectly happy. So I'm not saying I don't think you need. These people are going to get paid a lot. There's probably some young kids that would love to work there, because when you go to these other rec centers, that's what it is. It's a lot of these younger kids, and for them to get a job and feel like they're wanted, I think that'd be good.
Well, then we'll move in that direction. No, it's just we have directed.
Okay, let's go.
All right. We've already considered any action on the executive session. Here's our future agenda items. Any comments to that?
Sorry. Can I just direct, not a future agenda item, but if anybody's interested, the school district had a really great lunch this last week. And it says realtor lunch, but it really is, you can see where all the growth is happening, the projections of what schools they need, all that. If you just go on the Northwest ISD School District website and go under community, go under demographics, you'd be amazed like how quickly our school district is growing. Haslet Elementary is almost at capacity. Worthington is at capacity. Eaton is over capacity. They talk about where there's something like 6,000 lots that are ready to be built on right now for new houses. And every house, they figure they're going to get 0.337 kids from. So they don't have to go count kids. They just count rooftops. And so they can project where they need the next school, the next school, the next school. All of that is going to impact every citizen in this city. Because when the new high school opens, we're all going that way. When the new middle school opens, some kids are going to go that way. When the new elementary school opens, and everybody's going to be rezoned almost every single year. So it's going to impact every family over and over and over in Hazlet. It's important that we understand where all that growth is happening, because it's also going to affect our traffic. It's going to affect our water. It's going to affect our city services like EMS and fire, all those things. So it'd be good to keep that piece in our forefront, because they're giving us all this information already, and it can help us with our planning for future when we actually start planning for our future. So,
Mr. Halsey, or Mr. Mayor, I have a question about in a future agenda item.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for Mr. Swank or not, but I thought back in.
Hold on just a minute. Someone's, okay, go ahead.
I don't remember what month it was, maybe October, September, somewhere around there. I thought that we approved this stuff for the EV charging station over there off Westport, over that area. I thought we approved all that and the landscape and design, because I remember the guy had a layout of everything. Did we approve that like 4 months, 5 months ago?
You didn't approve the site plan or the landscape plan. What it was the SUP itself, allowing them to pursue that. And now they've come back with a landscape plan and a site plan.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Never mind. Just wanted to make sure and highlight that meeting that's coming up on Thursday.
10:48 p.m.
This conference is no longer being recorded.